Well, the cars are rolling out on the first of 2 laps to get them up to pace here at the 3.4 miles of the Circuit of the Americas, just south of downtown in Austin. Beautiful place to spend a few days, even if you're not coming to the racetrack. Music, great food, and a fabulous atmosphere right in the heart of the Lone Star State. The Circuit of the Americas nestles just south of the airport here south of Austin. But although this is a brand new circuit, built primarily for Formula 1 and MotoGP, there's topography, the rise to turn 1, the run down through 2 to 6, 7, 8, 9, and then all the way down to turn 11, big out braking zone there. A rise up over the top of the back straight where many of the RV camping spots are, and there's not very many spaces there this weekend. I noticed when I pulled up even as early as Tuesday here. And the 52 car we're hearing already has an issue at the exit of turn number 11 onto that back straight. Jeremy Shaw is with me, John Hindhoff in the booth, and down in the pit lane it'll be Shea Adam and Jim Roller, who make up our Continental Tire pit lane reporting team. The Advanced Auto Parts Sportscar Showdown. First time this time of the year, first time the IMSA cars have been here on their own, and everybody enjoying this much cooler weather than we've traditionally had here, but clearly already an issue for that 52 car, Jose Gutierrez, and that's a shame because that car's been going well this week.
Yeah, it certainly has. He's been driving it absolutely beautifully here, and yeah, they had high expectations coming into this race. We have to find out what happened. Another quick note, by the way, the car number 15 put to the back in GTD after Jack Hawksworth qualified its second yesterday. Because it's starting from the back, they've elected to change tyres on that car to have a fresh set of Continental tyres, and also they've changed the starting drivers. They originally changed. Originally it was going to be Jack Hawksworth. Instead, it will be Robert Alon, who was actually on probation after causing the incident on the final lap at Long Beach. It will be Robert Alon from California who takes the starting position in car number 15.
So excited, I've actually bit my tongue there whilst we were getting ready to come in. I'll be talking like that for the rest. That really hurt. You're listening to IMSA Radio live from trackside at the Circuit of the Americas. Let's hope that 52 car can get going. Jose Gutierrez, as Jeremy was saying there, has been doing a very good job indeed. As the cars weaving side to side to clean off their tyres.
Yeah, Jose is only 20 years of age, but his younger brother, Andres, is driving the IMSA Prototype Challenge series as well. Not racing here this weekend, but he won a race last time out at Barber Motorsports Park, so he's going to be a young man to watch as well. And their cousin, Patricio Award, who had a birthday yesterday, happy birthday, Patricio. He will be driving number 38 car this weekend. And that is the Performance Tech Motorsports PC machine that has been perfect in the 2 races they have had this season. That PC class was not racing at Long Beach. They've won already, though, at Daytona and Sebring. Marshall
Pruitt brings us this news. The man from Racer.com. He's been talking to the GTLM teams about potential tyre strategies in GTLM. Because there were cooler temperatures here, 1 or 2 of the teams thought they might be able to use softer compounds. However, in the simulations that they have been running, the race simulations have been running, the constant sliding around the circuit this weekend is tearing up those softer tyres. So it will be harder compounds for the GTLM cars. Problem for the 52 car. Jim Roller has hustled down to the pit and brings us this Continental Tire pit lane update.
Unfortunately, it's not good news. Total electrical failure on the car. Right now, his only way to communicate with the team is through the backup radio. Electrics have totally gone dead in the 52 car.
A few people to say hello to this weekend, including Tequila Patron ESM primary race engineer Kyle Brennan. Missing the race this weekend, hip replacement surgery. I might have to be going for that soon. Kyle, we wish you all the best. See you at the next one. And also our thoughts to Alex Job, multiple champion here. His wife Holly losing a long battle with a very aggressive illness recently, and the whole IMSA family. Pat to you guys on the shoulder. 2 hours and 40 minutes are on the clock. We're ready to go racing at the Circuit of the Americas, and we've unleashed the beasts. The green flag is waving from our Grand Marshal, and it is Alex Franco from 94.7 FM radio person as he heads off to get a little bit of hospitality. There's already been a schmozzle, and there's a couple of really important cars in there. One of them, the 62 Ferrari, which we were hoping to have a good run on their home ground. There's one of the Corvettes in there as well.
And one of the Ford GTs.
Oh, no, it's just like the first couple of corners at Long Beach again. It was a slight mistake by Tony Vielander there, and I haven't seen the Corvette that was turned round moving again. Oh. This is the 4 car that's been involved, and severe damage to the right front, left front damage to the 62. It's exactly the parts that they replaced, and the Ford has just got, well, damage everywhere. It's the 67 car. This has thrown everybody's IHG podiumpredictor.com picks right up the Swanee, and we haven't even finished the first lap. Extraordinary stuff at that turn 1. It's everybody funneling down to the apex, and really think that they might have had a bit more sense going into that.
Can't believe it for Risi Competizione. I mean, this is 2 races in a row out, effectively out of the running, even before turn 5.
Well, and we're still under green at the moment. Everybody is moving, so yellow flag and full course yellow has come out. So the pits are closed, which of course doesn't help any of those guys who need to come in for service. They'll come in for emergency service, but that means they get a double penalty effectively. It's right front suspension damage for the number 4 Corvette, and that car was started by Tommy Milner. The 62 was started by Fizzy, and who was in the 67 at the start, because they are already out of it. That was Ryan Briscoe, wasn't it? Now, that car looks the least damaged of all of the 3 that's been involved, but it's the car that's pulled over at the side. I wonder if there's some damage to radiators or something else down the side of that car. The Corvette was turned around completely facing the wrong direction just beyond the apex of turn 1. So, not the start we were looking for. And Ryan Briscoe is taking the bonnet pins out of the 67 on driver's right.
912 at the back as well, one of the Porsches.
Well, it was going into the first corner, green, then there's a bit of a gap back to the GTs.
The Scott Sharp also in the number 2 car. He's all right at the back of the pack also.
BMW's coming through. They go through first and second. Fizzy got tapped by... Fizzy got tapped. Both the Fords involved there. Yeah. So Fizzy was turned around by the 67 and got turned into the 66, which will also have damage. All kinds of fun and games going on further up the field. So both Fords involved there. Check that, it was the 66 that turned Fizzy around. The 66 turned Fizzy around and spun him across the track into their team car. What an extraordinary happening at the first corner. And the Corvette, an absolute innocent party.
Yeah, the Ford GT just went way too deep at the apex of turn 1, just caroomed into the side of the number 62 Ferrari. I mean, Fisichella was absolutely minding his own business there at all. Nothing to do with him.
Right, let's get down to find out the severity of the injuries to the cars. The drivers, I'm sure, will be all right. Fisichella.
Before we do it, just watch this on board here. Okay, fine. There was contact there between the number 2 car, that is Scott Sharp, and the number 90 car at turn 2. The front end of number 2 car got clipped. He spun around, that's why he's at the back of the pack.
Very bad news for the 62 car. Giancarlo Fisichella brought the car in, streaming tire cords and bits of fiberglass, heavy damage to the left front suspension. He has gotten out of the car. I think their day is done.
Unbelievable. And Shea Adam, the 62 car, the 4's gone straight behind the wall. That's not even going into the pit lane. Fisichella is out of the car. Giancarlo will not be a happy Italian. He put into the car to start because he didn't get any driving time at Long Beach. Jim Roller has Fizzy.
Giancarlo, first lap, first corner, what happened?
I don't know, somebody touched me in turn 1. I lost the control of the car, and obviously the guy behind me, they came into my car, and it's destroyed. So another race finish after one corner.
Not happy down here, John. The crew is as upset as poor Giancarlo is.
That's their home race as well.
Oh. And I mean, the car was not quite written off, but very badly damaged at Long Beach. That one, Tony Vilander put his hand up and said, "Look, that was mainly my fault for calling that incident." He was very gracious in doing that, but this time, absolutely no blame whatsoever to Giancarlo Fisichella.
So both the Fords involved, 66 and 67. 66 with a very odd angle on the right rear of that car. That's got broken suspension, I would say. Shea, that car can't keep circulating, I wouldn't have thought.
Nope, they are going to bring him in. They've got the permanent jack stands that they have to put around the hydraulic jack so that people can actually get underneath the car. They've got all that ready to go. So 66 should be coming in as soon as it can make its way back in. I don't think they're going to wait for the pits to open. No, they are. They're saying they're going to wait for the pits to open before they get to work, but not going to be the work of a moment.
Jim Roller, another pit caller, not expected either.
No, the 912 is coming into the pits, John. The pits are still closed, so this has got to be emergency service. He has got damage as well. He's got damage on the right side. The right front is damaged on that car. I don't know if he was involved in this incident as well. They are changing the right front tire. They're tearing off the right front fender, which is very damaged. They've got pre-torn strips of 100-mile-an-hour tape that they're going to use. The front valance has gone on. Yeah, all they can do is change the right front tire, but they are doing full bodywork change. So they've got a new splitter coming out. There goes the new left front fender. So this car won't, this will look showroom new when they're done.
Every panel on that car comes off with 2 clips.
Yes.
So each panel has only got 2 fastenings on the new RSR.
Incredible.
Yeah, really sensible design.
Yeah, I mean, in seconds, the whole front of the car was off that car in 3 different pieces. Really,
I'm reminded by Jim, it's 4 on the splitter, but 2 on everything else. That is absolutely correct. Full course caution. We're down to almost 2 hours and 30 minutes. We've had 8 minutes of full course yellow. The 62 Ferrari, pristine from the right-hand side. Shea Adam is watching that car going behind the wall.
The most saddening thing of the whole weekend, they put a special sticker on the rear bumper to try and bring a little bit of extra luck. Don't mess with Texas. Risi Competizione, based in Houston, they were expecting to have a good weekend. And they put Fizzy in the car to start because they said they wanted to give him more drive time and they wanted to make at least 1 more lap than they did at Long Beach. That's not going to happen.
The Porsche was the car that was caught up basically nose to nose with the spun Corvette. And that's why it's got damage and has dropped all the way down. The 912, though. Jim, has the 912 already gone?
Yeah, John, he just pulled out. That was Audi-esque.
Okay, so that was proper emergency service. The Ford number 67, which was the other car involved. Both of the Ford GTs from Chip Ganassi, Ford Chip Ganassi Racing USA involved. One the instigator, one unwitting bystander, and the 67 car is being towed back dead stick, but that car does seem to at least have all of its wheels pointing in the right direction. It's going back to the garage, I'm hearing from our man listening into the radios. Thanks, Bubba. So Ricky Taylor leads. That's about the only thing we probably were expecting in these first couple or 3 laps.
And Johannes van Overbeek there, having been jumped by Ricky Taylor at the start, is maintained second place. Here we are, the green flag finally.
Now the problem for the 66 is it's got damage rear suspension. The pits aren't open, so he's going to have to make 1 more lap before he can come in with the pits under green. And they didn't feel as though they could do what they need to do under the emergency service regs. I think when they see that car, they might find that Dirk Muller has been doing a really brilliant job getting that car around. And by the time they have a look at it, I'm not sure that car's going back out again. So 2 Fords, a Ferrari, and in fact here is the 66 coming into the pit lane now and heading towards the Chip Ganassi team. And it's been a very good effort by Dirk Muller to bring that car back in to the pit lane. Shea Adam is down at the Chip Ganassi end of things.
He's driving straight, but the car is on a slight angle. There is definite suspension issue with this Ford. The engine is still on as they put the hydraulic jack stands underneath the permanent ones. They haven't yet told him to shut off the car. Now, if this was going to be a long stop, or so they expect, they would actually have him turn the car off. They have a new rear wing ready to go. Yep, the right taillight missing entirely from that one, as 3 mechanics have wedged themselves into the right wheel well and have gone to work on the suspension. They are fixing an A-arm that has come off. This is incredible to watch. These 3 guys, just no fear whatsoever. They're not even considering how hot it is in that area of the car, working around a brake rotor that, yeah, it only had a couple warm-up laps to really get up to full temperature, but it's still warm. And a little bit of white vapor pouring out the back of the car. Now the engine goes off, so it's going to be a few minutes yet.
The EcoBoost engine then being turned off on the 66 Ford GT. At the head of the field, Ricky Taylor pulls out 1.9 seconds on Johannes van Overbeek in second place. Eric Curran in third, 10, 22 and 31. Cadillac, Ligier Nissan Cadillac. Then Christian Fittipaldi in the number 5 as they go past us. Now let's carry on updating before anything else happens. Let's update the other cars that were involved. 62 behind the wall, the Risi Competizione car is day done. 67 being towed back to the garage, day done. 66 being worked on in pit lane. What about the number 4 Corvette that was also involved? Jim Roller can update us.
Tommy Milner has brought that car straight back to the garage area. The crew is working on the right front. They're also working on the in the rear of the car, the left rear. I'll see if I can stick the mic in here. Tommy, from your perspective, what happened?
All I saw was a red Ferrari sideways in front of me all of a sudden, so looked like a couple of the Fords and the Ferrari and maybe one other were off wide at the exit of 1 there, and must have been some contact, something like that, and got the Ferrari going back across the racetrack. So I don't know, I guess racing a little bit too hard there to start of a race, you know, 2 hours 45 minutes, not 1 corner, but unlucky we got the right front into the Ferrari and then got hit from behind, just, you know, someone just unsuspecting as well. So not the way to start our race, but we'll get it fixed up and go back out there and see if we can get some more spots.
All right, thank you, Tommy, for taking the time to talk to us. The work continues. As he says, front and rear damage. This car probably got it the worst.
They've taken off the broken bit of suspension that used to be a straight piece of metal. It has a big dent in the side of it, and it's at about a 35-degree angle. They put the new rear component on the car and went to put the Michelin back on the right rear, but the exhaust pipe is actually broken and it's pushed in a little bit, so they can't get the wheel in quite enough. They have the bright orange mallet out. They were banging away trying to get the wheel to set in. Now it has. They're going to make sure that everything is perfectly okay, but that was a very, very impressive fix from Ford Chip Ganassi Racing.
Shea Adam and Jim Roller with more work than they would have expected in the first laps down at our Continental Tire pit lane reporting team. All right, we settling into a bit of a race rhythm now. Let me tell you how things are. We haven't spoken about GT Daytona. Mathieu Jaminet leads for Porsche, the pole sitter from Madison, Snow in second in the 48 Lamborghini. He's about a second off the lead. And then in third place, Patrick Lindsay. Another 1.4 seconds further back in the 73 car. And those 3 just equidistant at the moment, but they're ploughing their own furrow. Andrew Davis has the 57 Stevenson Audi in 4th position ahead of Corey Lewis in the 16 Lambo and Ben Keating in the 33 Mercedes-Benz. Christina Nielsen, defending series champion in GT Daytona in the 63 Ferrari, is next up. All is good, fine and dandy there. The GTLM field now reduced to just 4 cars in contention, with the BMWs first and second. Surely they will not get a better opportunity here with cars that are suited to this circuit. They are going very well indeed, and with half of the field having been eliminated from any kind of meaningful result on the first corner accident. Third for Porsche, Patrick Pilet, the 911, sharing this weekend with... God's completely out of my head. Dirk Werner, sorry, thank you, Shea. With Dirk Werner, I was looking at Jan Magnussen's name, and that wasn't really helping me because that is the one that comes up next. So those four are locked together with barely a second between any of them. So let me do that again in some kind of English. 24 BMW leads GTLM, John Edwards, then Alexander Sims, the 25, then the 911 to Patrick Pilet, the car that he shares with Dirk Werner, and then Jan Magnussen, the number 3 Chevy Corvette. Out of the race so far, the 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari, the 67 Ford GT, and severely delayed or still receiving attention, well, in the former category, the 66 Ford is back out on the track. In the latter, the number 4 GM Chevy Corvette is still behind the wall, receiving attention. PC, James French, leads by 2.3 seconds from Stefan Wilson. So the 38 from the 26, and it's still the Cadillac of Ricky Taylor now by 4 seconds at the head of the field. Johannes van Overbeek, though, holding on to second place and holding off Eric Curran. Good drive from Johannes, and nice to see the renewed pace of the Nissan-powered Ligier, the 22 car from ESM in second place. Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, the number 912 car, after its extra pit stop to serve the penalty after the for coming into the pits while the pits were effectively closed, and he's rejoined the racetrack. He is still on the lead lap, but only just because he's got the class leading BMWs, I don't know, less than 100 yards or so ahead of him on the racetrack. So Wolf Henschel is going to have to really hustle to try and keep himself from going a lap down, and at least give him an opportunity, if there is another full course caution, to get back into contention. The number 66 car also is out on the racetrack. That is a couple of laps down. Well, that was a messy start.
It was. There was no need either, is there? No. You're not going to win a race.
No,
literally, you are not going to win a race on the first corner, but you can lose one.
Most uncharacteristic, I have to be said, of Dirk Müller.
Yes.
Interesting, the Ricky Taylor, of course, is romping away in the lead. He just set fastest lap on every time around. Johannes van Overbeek holding on to second place ahead of Eric Curran, Christian Fittipaldi. But Jonathan Bomarito hanging right there with that second, third and fourth place cars. And that's been a pleasant change, because that car has been off the pace all weekend. They've been struggling. They've had some new brake calipers this week, new brake cooling system this weekend, which has helped some of one of the problems that they had with that car. But they just haven't got a handle on these cars all weekend long. The drivers have been struggling. Spoke to Christian Nunez this morning. There's terminal understeer in the cars. Just can't get the car turned into the corner or get the power down coming out of the corners either. So it's been a bit of a nightmare so far. But Jonathan Bomarito is hanging right there in that fifth position, and Tom Long is another couple of seconds also behind and running competitive lap times.
So Ricky Taylor lapping a second and a half quicker than anybody else on the track at the moment, at 1.1 seconds that time around. This is the Ricky effect, isn't it? This is just extraordinary. I know he will say that it is a team effort, and of course it is, but the ability of the 10 Cadillac team to consistently find extra pace is extraordinary, and the driver is a big part of that. The drivers are big parts of that, because they've got to get the car into a position that they feel confident. This is still a relatively new project for Dallara, for Cadillac Racing, and for the teams who are running these cars. And so feedback, development, setup, that's going to be a big part of what's going on. But no doubt in my mind, Jeremy, so is the skill of the driver behind the wheel.
Yeah, just the chemistry there is in that team between the two brothers. The fact that they just work together, not interested in beating each other. That's not a factor at all for those two. They're just working together. They've got a great rapport with the engineers there. I think finally they've got a whole full complement of the correct engineers here this weekend, with no illnesses or births or anything else to get in the way. And it's shown. And Ricky Taylor, he's just riding the crest of a wave of confidence. The car looks fantastic. He's driving it just beautifully, pulling away here at a second a lap. Not quite the same pace as he had in qualifying compared to the rest, but it's still a second a lap. And you know, that's kind of unheard of, isn't it, at this level in this sort of a series. But that just shows that when everything clicks, then and you have the confidence in the driver, this is what happens. And he's edging away.
So live on XM Sirius here in the US, as well as the IMSA app, radiolemans.com, live in sound and vision to our international audience with timing and scoring, onboard cameras, and of course our race call available at IMSA.tv, as well as the IMSA app. Good to have your company, however you're consuming the fourth round of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, the Advanced Auto Parts Sportscar Showdown, live from trackside here at the Circuit of the Americas. With Ricky Taylor now having pulled out nearly 8 seconds. Time for them to get on the phone and say, manage the gap, Ricky. No need to be pushing your Continental tyres quite that hard, because no one is catching you up. Nearly 2 seconds quicker than Johannes van Overbeek last time around. 10 from the 22, the Nissan black and green car. Then the red Cadillac, the 31 machine, with their sort of teammates behind them. In the 5 car, that's mostly white, just by a second there. Jonathan Bomarito has the Mazda number 55 in 5th position. Just put that car's fastest lap of the race in at 2 minutes flat. Tom Long 3 seconds behind his teammate in the grey Mazda. Then Mark Goosens and Misha Goikberg another couple of seconds further back. So that's 90.85. And Scott Sharp, after that ding with the Goose at turn 2, recovering, but still 3 seconds back from Goikberg in that yellow 85 JDC Oreca. Prototype Challenge has James French leading from Stefan Wilson by now 7 seconds. And in GTLM, a much reduced field, just 4 cars in the hunt now.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry, 4, yeah. You're right, 4 and, you're right.
4 and Wolf Hensler, who is back out on the circuit. In fact, as I say that, he's just come back into the pits again.
So he's gone a lap down now.
And Jim Roller is there. We'll get a report from him in a moment. John Edwards, Alexander Sims by 0.8 of a second, then 0.7 further back Patrick Peely in the 911 Porsche, and then 5 seconds back to Jan Magnussen. Jim Roller.
Lawrence Ventura will get into the car. Wolf Hensler is getting out. This is a more routine stop than what we saw earlier. This will be the 3rd trip to the pits for this team. They had the emergency service, then they had the drive-through penalty that Jeremy told us about, and now they're having service. So they are a lap down, so might as well just try and do something different than everybody else. Now they're going to work on the right front. See what we can see here. They are working around the hub. Looks like there might be some sort of lower suspension issue on the right front. Again, that's where the damage was. So he may have bent an A-arm or some such. They brought a parts bin out. Gonna change the hub. Gonna change the entire hub. They brought a new front hub out to put on right front hub for this car.
It's Jim Roller.
Seemed to have lost the 55 car somewhere in the final sector. Didn't see it come past here.
Right, let's keep an eye for that. 67 coming back out. Now that car...
55 in the pits.
All right, 55 Mazda in the pits then. That was from 6th position.
Yeah, it was from 5th position.
5th position, excuse me, yes.
And it had been running nicely.
Just done its fastest lap of the race the lap before. They're putting fuel into it. Get well, Rob. Number 78, it says on there. lot of messages of support this weekend for a variety of very good reasons. Jim Roller is watching the Mazda stock while the 67 Ford has come back onto pit lane as well. We'll talk about the Ford in a moment after this from Jim.
Well, the 55 came in, it looked all routine. They are going to fuel it up, but now they are done fueling, which is kind of de rigueur for these pit stops if you're going to do some mechanical repair. So now they're taking the rear deck off, both sides, left and right. They're looking around to see what's going on. I bet it's an electrical problem. They're checking all of the computer and electrical connections. So I will. I'll get you a final word.
Thank you, Jim. The Ford share was into the pit lane and then gone again very quickly. That just looked like basically a splash of fuel, stopped the engine and restarted again.
That's what it was. Because they were behind the wall working on the car in the garage, they did have to come and stop in their pit box before they could go back out. But I will have to check to see, because they did not complete a full lap. They were towed back in. So this should register as their first lap. I'm not entirely sure that they would be allowed to start. But what happened was, with the contact on that first lap, it broke something in the front of the car that triggered the kill switch automatically. So they've been working in the garage to undo that, because it was not allowing the car to turn on.
The final word for the 55 car is the worst thing you can have in a race car. It's some sort of electrical gremlin. It's an intermittent problem. So now the needle in the haystack search begins, especially with these new high-tech cars. There is so much electronics, so much that's computer controlled. It's going to be very difficult to try and target this misfire from the pit lane.
Oh dear. Thank you, Jim. And Shea, Sterling weren't already, and too much going on. We'll just quickly go back to Shea for the answer on the 67 car. Remember, it didn't complete the first lap, was towed back in through the infield. Shea?
Yep, they said it's perfectly okay, because they were brought back to the garage, and then they did stop in their pit box. They did everything according to the rule book and went back out. So this should register as the completion of their first lap.
Thank you, Shea. And thank you to our IMSA officials in pit lane, by the way, who are passing along that information to Shea. Always good to have a series where you work with the pit officials, and we respect their job as well. And thank you for helping us to do ours. That from race control down over here in the IMSA series. Brad Goldberg from the 67 car also passing along information there to Shea Adam. All right, Jeremy, we're coming down to 2 1/4 hours to still run, and at last we've had a little bit of running that we can sort of look at and say, right, we're getting the feel of a race now, aren't we?
We are, and well, it really isn't much of a race up front, because Ricky Taylor is just hauling away from the field. He's now working his way through the GTD field. Talking to the GTD field, the interesting battle going on there for 6th, 7th place between Christina Nielsen and Catherine Legg. Christina Nielsen, number 63, Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, and Catherine driving the one of the two Michael Shank Racing Acuras. Those two had a little bit of a history in qualifying, actually, because Catherine had set her lap, and then she had a bit of a glitch in the car. She was coming back to the pit lane, and she inadvertently held up Christina on her first lap. She went around to apologize later on, and they made up and said, okay, that's fine. And Catherine said, I'm terribly sorry. And, would you? And I guess Christina said, would you do anything differently next time? Yeah, I'd probably get out of the way a bit further, a bit sooner. So I'm sorry about that. But they're now together again on the racetrack and dicing hard, and both running well in the early stages of this race. But in GTD, Mathieu Jaminet, the 22-year-old Frenchman, making his debut in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship for the Allegra Motorsport team, who scored that fantastic victory at the Daytona Rolex 24 in its debut in this championship, is pulling away at the front. He's got 7.3 seconds now over the number 48 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini, driven by Madison Snow.
Michael Shank Osnegri came in that car for a splash of fuel, and that looks, from their social media, to have been a planned stop to take them off strategy, with just on 2 hours and 11 minutes still to go. This is a pretty wide open circuit, and other than the big schmozzle that we saw earlier, the potential for running through to the end of the race has to be pretty high without the intervention of our safety car. He says finding something polished and wooden to touch immediately.
Yeah. Because yeah, there are fairly wide windows here. You come in early, it's a good strategic call. If you're not absolutely in contention for the race, and the number 86 car wasn't, it was back in the, where was it, in the 11th position in class, then you know, you might as well try something a little bit different. If there is a full course caution now, everybody else would come into the pit lane. They wouldn't. They would stay out. They would take the lead of the class, and so you know that could, working from the back from the back end of the race, that could work out in their favour later on. So it's worth a punt, as they say.
55 car back out as well. No report from Mazda Motorsports of whether the result was the issue was completely resolved. 912 has gone behind the wall for Porsche. That was the car that was involved in that early incident. Meanwhile, at the front of the GTLM field, BMW leads with John Edwards a couple of seconds ahead of his teammate Alexander Sims in the 25. They cross the start-finish line now and head up towards turn 1. And right in the wheel tracks of Sims is Patrick Pilet in the 911 Porsche. This is the new RSR. Significantly changed from the last car because the engine and the gearbox have swapped positions. Well, actually, somebody said to me the other day, I think the gearbox is in exactly the same place, just the engine's moved to the other side of it, which I thought was a reasonable observation, actually. The first ever 911 GT car that is mid-engined. Car pushed about a foot, the engine pushed about a foot forward in the car, and it's transformed the Porsche aerodynamicists' opportunity to gain some pretty free downforce with the honking great diffuser at the back, which they just didn't have the room to do before. And they've been able to wind a bit of the aero off the front. Pit stops coming, 75 Mercedes in and 22 from second place. Jim has the GT Mercedes-Benz.
And it looks like it's going to be a routine stop. When on my way down here to the 75, I checked in with Michael Schenk, and they indeed confirmed what you thought, John. That was a planned stop. This will be routine tires and fuel, no driver change. Shay?
Fuel and tires for the number 2 as well, Jim. They are saving Ryan Dial for a little bit later on, but giving Scott Sharp not even a new drinks bottle for this stint, but also the 4 Corvette Lives. That just came out from behind the wall.
Yeah, just rumbled past us, thank you. So this is the strategy that we discussed in the Michelin Countdown to Green, beginning to play out just a little bit to see whether the guys can get some kind of march. It's the old adage in motor racing, Jeremy, isn't it? If you do the same thing as everyone else, you will get the same result. If you go off strategy, well, you might be the windscreen or you might be the fly, but at least you've got the chance of making something happen.
Yeah, indeed. You know, it really is worth a try, worth a punt to try something different. If it works in your favour, you look like a hero. If it doesn't, well, you're probably not going to be much any worse off than you would have been otherwise.
Well, exactly. Shea Adam is still with the 22 ESM sitting in the pit lane. This looks more than a regular pit stop, Shea.
They brought a new nose over the wall and put it on a quick stall as the number 22 regains composure. Johannes van Overbeek goes out back to the racetrack.
I don't think I've seen so much pit action in the first 14 laps of a IMSA WeatherTech race. Still over 2 hours to run here. So, come on, guys, settle down. Let's have a bit of racing. Just get the feeling, though, even at this point, that this is all going to come back together in the last 20 minutes. Bit of a sprint race feel to this. Second place in GT Daytona goes on to, GTLM goes on to the back straight, and it was the old over and under manoeuvre by the Porsche driver trying to get into the slipstream, and now pulls alongside. Alexander Sims just moves over to the left. Pilet has got position, eases the black and red nose of the Porsche 911 RSR into the corner first and takes second position. That all came about from the previous corner. Textbook manoeuvre when there's a long straight. Very, very impressed indeed. So now GTLM has John Edwards some 3.2 seconds ahead of Patrick Pilet. Remember that number. Let's see how quickly Pilet can begin to close that gap, if at all. The two pit stops that we saw a moment or two ago, both have been completed. 75 back out on the circuit, although having come back out, big side-to-side contact. That's why those two cars were in. That was before the pit stop. The 75 and the 2 coming together and doing damage to the front end of the 22. That's why Johannes van Overbeek had to come in for a new nose, and why the 75, the very brightly coloured Mercedes-Benz under the tutelage of Kenny Habul. Kenny brought that car in for a little look-see as well. That was down through the S's. Really room for two cars wide there. So still 2 hours and 5 minutes to go. Ricky Taylor leads by almost 20 seconds and now has eased off. He's down in the 2 minutes, but he's still a second ahead of everybody else in terms of his lap times.
Yeah, and the main reason for that is that he's just sort of he's been working his way through traffic. That's the main reason for that, but he's still looking extremely comfortable out there. As you say, the gap almost 20 seconds now over Eric Curran, who's edged away just very, very slightly from the third place car of Christian Fittipaldi. And a gap of about 3 seconds back to Mark Goossens, but he's holding on there in a Visit Florida car in fourth position. Number 22 car, by the way, has rejoined, but it is a lap down now to the race leaders.
Problem on the front straight. The 55 Mazda has stopped. The car with its had the electrical problems. Now, will it be able to refire and get out of the way? It's slow moving now. Just got up to the top of the hill at turn 1 and going down the hill. Let's hope that it can continue. Battle in GT Daytona between the 96 BMW and that's Brett Curtis and Robert Alon in the 15 Lexus. They're battling just on the bottom end of the top 10 of GT Daytona, but my goodness, they're still having a battle. By the way, I hadn't forgotten about the GT1 Porsche 911 as a mid-engined Porsche. Not a GT car, that really, although it was classified as such. That was a prototype in all but name, wasn't it? I think it shared the front clip with the 996, and that was about all. Didn't share the engine, had the older engine, and everything else was bespoke for that category. But yes, the engine was in the middle of that car. And Porsche, no strangers to mid-engine race cars, of course. 9146, one thinks about in terms of their GT product. And of course, the 919 hybrid is also mid-engined. Only a 2-litre 4-cylinder, though. Can't quite see the time when a 911 race car will be anything other than a flat 6. At least I hope not.
Turner Motorsport BMW is running just ahead of number 15 Lexus. I spoke to Will Turner this morning. That car won this corresponding race last season, so they came here with very, very high expectations. As we see a replay here of Robert Alon diving to the inside at turn 1. There's a little bit of contact there. Robert Alon is already under probation for causing the incident on the final lap at Long Beach. Here he dives the inside.
I think you'll find a dive plane went missing there from the right front. Alon is on probation, as Jeremy said, and for a low percentage lunge, he says. Oh, 20 car has spun going onto the back straight and gets pointed in the right direction. Don Younts, third place of the PCs. All of the other two PCs have got ahead of the GTLMs, or stayed ahead of the GTLMs after the GTLM issues in that first corner.
What I was going to say about the Turner Motorsport BMW, the team, they kept having won the race last year, high expectations, but struggling on the first day. And so they went back and looked at their notes, and he said, actually, all the drivers, they were complaining last year as well. It's just that I guess we just ended up doing a better job than everybody else to win the race last year. So they've been working on the balance of that car. It's a little bit better now. Brett Curtis is running in a pretty good position, having a dice with that Lexus of Robert Alon, and that's the car that qualified on the front row with Jack Hawksworth at the wheel, put to the back because it failed a ride height test after qualifying infinitesimally, but it was too low, it was thrown out, but the car is pretty quick. So for Brett Curtis, who certainly isn't a professional like these other drivers, he's doing very, very well to hang in there in that number 96 distinctive blue and yellow Turner Motorsport BMW.
'85 car sits in 5th position for Misha Goldberg, and Scott Sharp in 6th, fighting his way back after being turned around early on. 6th position now for Scott. And for the first time since the start of the race, Eric Curran's just taken some time out the leader. 0.2 of a second is all, but that tells you all you need to know. Ricky Taylor is now managing the gap at 22 seconds. And from here, it's a cruise home for that number 10 car. See, that's easy for me to say, but they've still got 2 hours of racing to go here at the Circuit of the Americas. We're live trackside with IMSA Radio and IMSA TV together. Thanks for joining us. 55 car still with problems, intermittent electrical problems. I have a strong suspicion that that car will be going back into pit lane and back behind the wall. Now, actually, yeah, coming into the pit lane now. Turns left at the pit lane entry and heads straight into the pit lane. We'll notice there are still concrete blocks in the pit lane here, but for the first time the IMSA teams are using the garages. That's been reserved for the WEC teams in the past, but WEC not here till September, so the IMSA guys getting the benefit of the rather spacious garages and the air conditioning. Number 4 Corvette, the car that was delayed, back into the pit lane as well. I suspect not all is well. 7th in GTD, onto the back straight at the moment. Christina Nielsen and Catherine Legg are battling it out in respectively the Ferrari and the Acura. Not too far behind them is Cooper McNeil in the number 50 AMG GT. Cooper just back from winning his class in the Tour Auto in Europe. 1974 Carrera RS, I think he was driving with Gunnar Jeanette. Bit different driving the big Benz this weekend. Let's take another update from Jim Roller, who has this Continental Tire pit lane report on the Mazda.
There you hear that Mazda number 55 firing up behind me. I'll try to get a word with Jonathan Bomarito if I can. No, he's going to try and talk to the crew. Very frustrated here. The 70 car has been in just a few moments ago, and they had looked like might be electrical problems on that car as well. So things have kind of gone from bad to worse. Let me see if I can talk to Jonathan here. How frustrating is this, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. Both cars, I saw the 70 in too as I was just making my way back in. I don't know. I'm not sure what there's so many electronics and things on these cars. I'm not sure what the problem is yet, but it seems electrical to me. And we'll get it fixed, try to get back out, salvage what we can. But, you know, we were running pretty strong. We were hanging on to that top 5 bunch right there. I think we would have been pretty good over a long stint with the tires, so it's a hard one. We've been just kind of hanging on, getting points each race, so this is a bummer.
When it's a misfire, that's bad enough, but when it's an intermittent misfire, that's got to be nearly impossible to find, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have the easy job with that inside the car. You know, we just relay the information, and they have us reset switches and knobs and dials and everything, every which way inside there. But, it's hard for the guys to diagnose, but there's a lot of smart people sitting behind these computers.
You just get to cuss about it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, better luck next time, mate. Thanks.
4 cars back behind the wall yet again. There was a bit of tire smoke coming out when they were running out around track. A little too much give in the front suspension, so they have brought the car back behind the wall. Tommy Milner has stayed in it, though. Ollie Gavin is now standing up on the pit box. They're still going to try and fix it. This Ford crew, they don't give up.
Yeah, okay, it's a test session for them now, effectively. As the battle continues for 7th, 8th and 9th in the GT Daytona category. Christina Nelson, Catherine Legg and Cooper McNeil, 63, 93 and 50. And they're heading onto the start-finish straight now. Little mistake by Catherine Legg, Catherine Legg, yes, it went a little bit wide. Oh no, hang on a second, that's a different car. My apologies, different Mercedes and not an Acura. That'll tell you from looking away. Other than that, that is the 33 car. It is a battle for position, though. That's a battle between Corey Lewis and Ben Keating, and Corey Lewis having to fight very hard in the Lamborghini. And
I was speaking to Corey this morning. He's pretty happy with that Change Racing Lamborghini. They qualified it in the third position, I think, or third or fourth. And he's been happy with the balance, the consistency of the car was good. They are really looking forward to this race. But hats off there to Ben Keating, who's really doing an excellent job in that number 33 car. Local driver, of course. A lot of experience now. He's driven all sorts of things and thoroughly enjoying this Mercedes-AMG GT3 car, having driven Vipers for years upon years.
Let's go down to Jim, who can tidy up what is becoming a litany of issues for the two Mazdas. Jim, it's a tale of woe this afternoon, and the tale of woe is getting longer.
Yeah, it's getting even worse. For the 55 car, besides the electrical issue, well, as we said, it's electronics and computers, and now it won't go into first gear. So it's besides the intermittent misfire, now they're having gearbox issues. For the 70 car, we're back to those hairdryer problems. It's a turbo issue for the 70 cars, so that's going to mean they're way down on power. So they're trying to trace that. It's a little bit further down pit road. In comes the 90. That's going to be a routine stop for that car, fuel and tires.
Let's give you a rundown then, as Mark Goosens is indeed in that pit lane. Ricky Taylor by 24 seconds now on Eric Curran in second place. Interest in the GTLM. Remember what we said about Patrick Pilet getting past Alexander Sims, and watch that 7-second gap. That 7-second gap is now down to half a second, and Patrick Pilet has rather quickly eaten up the ground between himself and the BMW that leads the class, heading round into turn 15 at the moment, as we're starting to get some pit stops for the GT Daytona runners. We'll come back to that in a second. And in fact, from fourth on down has come in the leading trio, 28 Porsche, 48 Madison Snow Lamborghini, and Patrick Lindsay in the 73 have all stayed out. Let's watch the lead battle here in GT Le Mans as they go through turn 17. Stay on the track. Ooh, just about. So as you keep part of two wheels on the red and white curb. It was very close indeed, but close is good enough. Across the start-finish line now, the 911 not able to stay with the BMW out of the corners. And heading up towards turn 1, can Patrick Pilet find a way through? May get a bit of help here, as Johannes van Overbeek in the ESM is pushing back through the field after his pit stop to change the nose, and the leader is third place car. Christian Fittipaldi is in the pit lane. Let's go down to Shea Adam.
We just had our GTD stops, and the first car back out on track was the number 57, the Audi. It was followed by 16 of Change Racing. Then the number 33 of the Riley Performance, 63. Scuderia Course was next, and then the 50. All of those cars did driver changes and tire changes. The 5 is in on its mark. Joao Barbosa is getting behind the wheel of that one. They have 4 new Continental tires for him, putting in a whole lot of fuel. And we are seeing a lot of people up and down the pit lane getting ready because, of course, minimum drive time has been met.
We got a spinner, and it is the number 991, the blue Porsche, was sitting in 9th position. Parker Chase losing it at the bottom of the run up to turn 9 there. Let's go back down for more pit stops. Jim Roller.
The GTD leader, the number 28 Porsche, has come to the pits. That'll be fuel, tires, and driver change. The number 2 car is in. That's the Tequila Patron entry for Scott Sharp and Ryan Dial. Also the number 85, Steven Simpson, has gotten into that car. Misha Goikberg has gotten out along with fuel and tires. I did not see a driver change on the 2 car.
Pretty scrappy run so far. Let's hopefully that we get into some decent running. And the leader is now in the pit lane. Ricky Taylor, after will be the end of his 23rd lap, peels off into the pit lane. Not only quick, but also pretty good on fuel. Ricky Taylor will stay in the car, and Shea Adam will watch tyres and fuel only for the leading Cadillac.
Tires, fuel, maybe an additional drinks bottle. Ricky said it was going to be pretty warm in that number 10 Cadillac. DPI hits his mark perfectly, comes to a stop, didn't even squeal the tires or anything. The right side tires being changed first, as both of those have gone off, and a mechanic actually reaching underneath the car with a camera. They had a GoPro on the end of a long stick so they could make sure that the bottom side of the car is okay. That is a side effect of clouding the curbs here at Circuit of the Americas. It leaves a bit of an orange streak. 31 is in as well. They are doing fuel and tires and a driver change. Dane Cameron is getting into the 31. Ricky, with an additional drinks bottle, pulls straight out of his pit box because they had the first one coming in. He's already done.
Okay, that was nice and smooth. Goes back out into the race. Now, Mark Goosens. Now, has Mark Goosens gone through? Yes, he has. So, is that Mark Goosens leading the race then, having stopped just a little bit earlier? Has he got through? I'll have to see how that comes through next time around. Yeah, I think. Well, I'll wait. Eric Curran's just gone through to complete his lap. I know Goosen's just about to complete now as he goes across the line.
Number 5 car has got out ahead of the number 31 car. So they've both made their pit stops. Number 90 car right with them as well. The leaders in both GTD, which is number 48 car now, and in PC, both on pit lane.
And Jim Roller has the Paul Miller Racing number 48 Lamborghini.
The bright orange Lamborghini comes to a stop. The crew descends upon the car. It's going to be a driver change. Young Madison Snow will get out. Brian Sellers will get in. And they will be back on their way shortly. Also stopping was the 15 Lexus. Jack Hawksworth has replaced Robert Alon in that car. Now the 14 Lexus has come onto the pit road. So it's almost through our first round of pit stops. 48 is back underway. Meanwhile, the 70 still sits here working on their turbo issues.
Shea Adam.
The 38, the PC leader, has come in. They have done fuel only for James French. No new tires. Meanwhile, we are waiting for the number 3 Corvette, the Lone Ranger, left for the the yellow stable. Antonio Garcia is up on the wall. This is a guy who loves these kinds of conditions. They got the win here back in 2013. They're looking to try and do it again as Ian Magnussen comes in, very gingerly hits the pit board, but they do have 4 new Michelin tires for that number 3 car. Antonio already in, Jan already back over the wall as Danny Binks is handing the left front Michelin over. They are putting it on, no dramas down here at the number 3.
Plenty of action out on the circuit between Mark Goosens and Dane Cameron, battling for effectively 3rd position at the moment. Dane Cameron just out the pits, Mark Goosens up to speed. He's having to do some fairly stout defending at the end of the back straight. And Ricky Taylor now about to put a lap on the 55, another lap on the 55 Mazda, and gets that done through the S's. Meant he had to go off line. Full course yellow, yes, full course yellow has come out. An hour and 47 minutes to go. The pits have been closed. Now this could throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. It's going to close the field back up again.
I'll tell you what it will do. The only people this really affects are the 3 leaders at GTLM, because they're the only cars really who haven't yet made their first pit stops.
Yeah, it's the number 16
that's a shame.
Lamborghini that has ground to a halt at turn 9.
Jeroen Moul, who just made a pit stop and had rejoined in that change racing Lamborghini that was running very nicely among the top 5 in GTD through that first stint with Corey Lewis.
Yeah, Corey Lewis was having a pretty good battle earlier on with the Turner BMW. And the car steadfastly refused.
Number 911 car's got ahead of the 24 on that lap, coming to the yellow.
Right, apparently. So that's a change of lead in GTLM, you're absolutely right. Very odd for the Lamborghini, hopefully that car will take a tour and we don't need a flatbed. We can get it moving very quickly. None of the top 3 in GTLM have stopped yet.
No, the only one who had was the Corvette, car number 3.
Correct.
And he will be still on the lead lap, I think, so he'll cycle through to the lead after the pit stop. So certainly, judging by that opening stint for the number 3 car, Jan Magnussen, he just didn't have the same pace. He was losing probably half a second a lap to the 3 leaders.
Right, whilst we've got a cessation in hostilities, let's take a few driver interviews. Ben Keating, local man, knows this area very well indeed. He's out of his AMG GT and talking to our Continental Tire Pit Lane reporter, Shea Adam.
Ben Keating, this is a track that you love, and the last time you didn't stand on the podium in this series, it was here. Did you just feel so betrayed by this track that you felt like you had to come back and prove something?
No, the fact is you love the tracks that love you back. And I've raced here 4 times and I've won 3 of them. So, I think it's a little bit you're expecting too much if you expect to win 100% of the time. The competition in GT Daytona is unbelievably tight. And, to that end, I'm out there running without the air conditioning on because I think it might give me another half a mile an hour of speed.
That's dedication.
Well, that's competition. I didn't qualify where I wanted to. I qualified back in 8th, but I had a good start. And, there's mayhem in the start with all the GTLM battle going on, and made up a couple positions. Jerome's made up a couple positions. So right now I feel pretty good about where we're sitting, but those cars up front are going to be hard to catch.
When we talked at the beginning of the year, you said you just wanted top 5s across the board. Is that the goal today, or is it to win?
I'd sign up for that right now.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Matthew Jaminet is just out of the number 28 car. Now remember, this is the young Porsche Junior driver who has the great slogan on the back of his helmet, when in doubt, go flat out. Matthew's talking to the crew. Is there an issue with the car?
No problem with the car. Everything is fine at the moment, so let's keep pushing.
How was your first stint?
Yeah, it was okay. I had a good start, but some trouble in the first corner with the GTLM cars. I could pass without damage on my car, and then I just tried to push, make some good laps, and it was a good stint.
How's the heat out there?
Actually, it's really hot. I don't know the temp in the car, but I'm sure we are close to 50 degrees. So yeah, that's really hot for the drivers.
Yeah, that's really hot.
Yeah, really hot.
All right, good luck the rest of the way. Are you done, or will you get back in for the finish?
We don't know at the moment, but maybe I come back in.
Good luck.
He wants to get back in, quite clearly. No doubt about that. You love the tracks that love you back. That is clearly a country music album, I would say. And Ben Keating has the voice for it. Good stuff. Thank you to Continental Tire Pit Lane reporting team there. The wave around has started, so if you're on the back straight or other parts of the circuit, you see people driving past the safety car thinking that can't be right. The cars that are between the safety car and their own class leader are allowed to go through and effectively rejoin the back of the line, get that lap back, so that
they don't get the
affected.
lap back. They just they maintain their position on the lead lap is a better way to put it. It's not like the lucky dog in NASCAR.
No, indeed. They haven't fallen off their lead lap in class.
Correct.
What's happened is that the leader of the race has got between them and their class leader, and therefore if you left it the way it is, they would be effectively all bar a few yards down when you restarted. So to mitigate that, the car is allowed to go back around to the end of the line and therefore stay on its own class lead lap. The number 17 Lamborghini takes the short way back to the pits. That's going to be a road well travelled. By the end, that's 2 cars that have gone back that way already.
Yeah, and so with the pass around having occurred here, we've got 7 prototype cars all on a lead lap, not necessarily in a train. But Ricky Taylor leads then in car number 10. For number 5, a Joao Barbosa. Number 31, a Dane Cameron, who must have got past the number 90 car, Mark Goosens, right before that yellow came out, because they had exchanged positions right after the pit stops. So Dane Cameron back up into 3rd place, ahead of Mark Goosens in car number 90. Then Scott Sharp in car number 2, and Stephen Simpson in the car number 85. Johannes van Overbeek is, the pits are now open for prototype cars to make their pit stops. The number 22 car of Johannes van Overbeek is taking advantage of that. He will hand over now to Ed Brown, who will be able to rejoin and rejoin at the back of the pack, but will be still on the lead lap. It'll be a relatively short stint for Ed Brown, and then Johannes van Overbeek will get back into the 22 car before the end. In GTLM, which is now running 7th place overall with number 22 car having made a pit stop, GTLM is the Patrick Pilet Porsche, car number 911, leads the class ahead of number 24 and number 25, the 2 BMWs of John Edwards and Alexander Sims. But they have yet to make their pit stops. Next time around, the pits will be open for any GT cars that want to take advantage of that. The only ones that will do so will be those 3 leaders, which will elevate Antonio Garcia into in the Corvette to the lead of the class. Happy days. And the only other car that will come on, I expect to come onto pit lane, is Catherine Legg, who was the only one of GTD cars not to have made her pit stop beforehand. So it's kind of unfortunate for Catherine because, ironically, because the fact she was getting better fuel consumption means that she will now make her pit stop. Everybody else will go ahead of her while she is in the pit lane, and she'll have to rejoin all the way at the back of the pack, which is, like I say, is really, really unfortunate. She had been running in the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th position before this round of pit stop, and now she'll go pretty much all the way to the back until 14th or 15th. So most unfortunate for that number 93 Acura team.
It's Jeremy Shaw, I'm John Hindhoff. We've still got an hour and 40 minutes, all bar 90 seconds or so to go in this race. Here's how it stands in the overall positions. Ricky Taylor held as much as 32 seconds of a lead. It's been suggested by Marshall Pruitt at Racer.com that only there should be a new balance of performance, only 1 Taylor per Cadillac. Or if you have 2 Taylors, they can't be the brothers, so it would be either Wayne or Shelley who had to take the other driving. Which I kind of like that. Kind of like that. Well done, Marshall Pruitt. I can't wait to see his write-up of this on Racer.com. Joao Barbosa is now behind the wheel of the 2nd place Cadillac, which is the number 5. That is the Mustang sampling team car. 31 Wheeler Engineering car is in 3rd position. They're all behind the safety car, obviously. Then it's Mark Goosens in the 90 blue Multimatic with the Gibson engine. Scott Sharp in the Ligier with the Nismo engine. That's the GTR GT3 engine in that car. And then the Orica of Stephen Simpson is in 6th position. All of those 6 prototypes are on the lead lap overall. GTLM comes next. 911 Patrick Pilet sneaked through into the lead just before the full course yellow came out, ahead of the 2 BMWs, 24 John Edwards and 25 Alexander Sims. And they are coming into the pits now. Jim Roller has the BMW stops.
There's lots of GT cars coming in, John. The Acura is in. Both of the, or actually the 911 Porsche is in, and the 24 and 25 come in unison. It's going to be 4 tires, fuel, and driver changes. Bill Oberlin will get in the 25, replacing Alexander Sims. Tomczyk will get in, replacing Edwards in the number 24 car. Martin Tomczyk gets in that car. He's and let's go down to Shea.
Patrick Pilet is out of the number 911. Dirk Werner has plopped himself behind the wheel there. A tear-off, fuel and tires for the 911. Fuel still going on. Tire change done long ago.
Problem for the 25 car. Oberlin pulled away from his pit box before the fuel had been disengaged from the side of the car. He pulled ahead about 6 or 7 feet before he ran out of of hose,
and
then he stomped on it as the fuel spit out, knocked the mechanic over who was doing the fueling. No flames out. The dry brakes did all of their work, but that was a scary moment for the 25, and I suspect he'll get a drive-through for that.
Oh, dear me. And there was a drag race down on the pit lane speed limiter that was won by the BMW number 24 of Martin Tomczyk. And Jeremy's assumption that the 3 Chevy Corvette would go through has indeed come through. Antonio Garcia will lead the GT LM pack, but Chasing Hordes are on the same lap. So it's Tomczyk now in the 24, Dirk Werner in the 911, and Bill Oberlin in the 25 car. And so that's a big shake-up then, as the pace car is on the back straight, and the pack begins to form up again. I assume that we will be going back to green flag fairly shortly.
Yeah, I think there'll be one more lap before we go back to green. They will allow the there's now another wave around of the cars that were as a result of pit stops have now been able to regain the lead lap in their respective classes, and that's very good news, particularly for number 75 car, because that is very, very fast. Number 75 car driven now by Tristan Vautier. Kenny Hubble had gone a lap down. He had a spin, I think, didn't he? Or and an early pit stop, certainly. But this is going to get him back on the lead lap, so there's excellent news for that team. Also back on the lead lap now will be Colin Brown in number 54 Core Autosport Porsche from Texas, from Avalo, Texas, and also Harry Gottsacker, another young Texan, 17 years of age, who's taken over from Parker Chase in that TRG Porsche, the bright blue number 991. That car, Parker Chase did a really nice job in that first stint, I have to say. Unfortunately, he perhaps barred it with a spin right at the end, just before this caution came out. But that car is now going to be back on the lead lap, so Harry will get his chance at the wheel. So we've had this wave around now. The officials will not wait for all of these guys to pack up at the back of the field. As soon as the wave round's been completed, then the lights will go off the pace car and safety car will be back to green flag racing. But that has not occurred yet, so it looks like there will be one more lap of caution before we get back to green.
Prototypes can't go to the end from here, and neither can the GT cars, so that stop will not be the final stop.
No, and it's going to be fairly marginal even to get to the end of one stop from here.
Exactly what my next point was going to be. No, that's fine too. Thank goodness we've got one thought from our two minds. The guys just accelerating and braking down the front straight, trying to get some heat into their tyres. An hour and 33 minutes to go. Full course yellow still out on the circuit for the second time of asking today. Coming up to 2:45 in the afternoon here in Texas. Still very pleasant out there. Wind seems to have dropped, least wind that we've had all week, to be honest, but still a bit of a breeze. And before they go green, let's go to Jim Roller for an update on the BMW. Remember, Bill Oberlin's 25 car did not have a picture-perfect pit stop.
Yeah, the crewman that was kind of tossed around when he was trying to disengage the fuel rig is okay. I asked him if he's a little bit irritated by the whole situation, as you might imagine. But the bigger issue is they've kind of done some damage to the fuel rig, so they're looking that over right now. They're replacing what parts they need to make sure that it is safe and functional for the next round of pit stops.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And with fuel being so marginal here, they really are going to need every last drop to go in. So Ricky Taylor from Joao Barbosa and Dane Cameron, the three Cadillacs, once again holding sway. They have been the class of this prototype field this year. In fairness, they are the most developed of the cars, and they've probably had more budget put into them as well. Dallara, not famed for making anything other than very, very good chassis. Cadillac chose Dallara, and that big 6.2 litre engine slammed into it. A lot of development work done on that car, and they are way ahead of the rest of the field in terms of the mileage and the development that have gone into those cars, and it shows.
Not quite sure how the number 54 cars got ahead of the number 991 as they came past here. They both got the pass around last time around, and when it came past here last time, it was 991 ahead of 54. Not quite sure what happened. But what also happened there, which is a little bit more significant, number 66 car, having got that wave around, has come into the pits for scheduled service, and effectively has gained a lap on everybody else because it had not made a scheduled stop before the caution. So it's now only one lap down to the rest of the GTLM cars.
Shit.
Joey Hand is behind the wheel of that number 66 Ford now. They did fuel and tires. No other damage repair, even though there is still a chunk missing on the right-hand side of the Ford.
Yeah, just behind the right rear wheel. They haven't replaced that area. Obviously, it's not causing too much of a problem. At IMSA Radio, and don't forget our Michelin post-race tech show. The checkered flag may be the end of the race, but it's only the start of the debate and conversation. Let's have your points arising, questions, or anything you've observed during the Advanced Auto Parts Sports Car Showdown at IMSA Radio with the hashtag MichelinPRT, please. Back to green, 90 minutes on the clock, length of a soccer game to go, and Ricky Taylor jumps away to a 1.5 second lead across the line as he heads up into turn 1. Joao Barbosa and Dane Cameron with Mark Goosens in 4th position, 10, 5, 31, 90 and 2. And Scott Sharp looking very, very aggressive indeed, coming down the hill from 1 to 2. That's where he lost out on the opening lap, and he went side by side with the 90 car again. Back end of the 31 car, Dave Cameron thrown up in the air, bouncing there as he came through the S's. There will be a pit lane violation penalty for the 25 BMW for the incident with the hose. Amazing to see how many times the back end of that 31 Dane Cameron machine is bouncing off the ground. Surprised that he's able to get any forward progress at all. On the back straight at the moment, beautiful afternoon here in Texas. In GTLM, Antonio Garcia leads it then by about a second from in 2nd position, the 24. And hearing from Jim Roller of someone rejoining.
That would be the 52 car, John.
Thank you very much. This has been more action in the pits and the paddock than I remember for a very long time. Enough for a race 3 times the length, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely right. Things settling down now. I have to see what happens. Look at the number 85 car, the JDC Miller Motorsports, that bright yellow car, Steven Simpson. He's been fast in that car. He's taken over now for Misha Goikberg, who did a pretty good opening stint. We'll see whether he has anything for these other DPI cars ahead of him. Ricky Taylor completes the first lap there. Ricky Taylor, there was no driver change there. Ahead of a couple of seconds lead then over Joao Barbosa, who's got his hands full now with his teammate Dane Cameron right behind him. That's kind of situation normal. The 2 cars at the run by Action Express Racing. There's a Mustang sampling car is now number 5, and a Whelen Engineering car is car number 31. They are always battling together as we see the number 25 car making its drive-through penalty on pit lane, so that'll go to the back of the pack and rejoin way after everybody else, but at least it still will be on the lead lap and still with almost an hour and a half remaining, so plenty of time to make up that deficit. How was the ice cream, John?
Going down nicely. The current track temperature 157 degrees Fahrenheit, so hardly warm enough to fry an egg on it. Wasn't it here last year, Jeremy, that the 31 and the 5 got together and really didn't do themselves any favours at all, I seem to remember.
That on a fairly regular basis.
Ricky Taylor sets the fastest first sector of the race. 32 seconds was the gap before the full course yellow that's pulled the field back together. I don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference, to be honest. Anybody who didn't have the number 10 in the IHG Rewards Club podium predictor.com sweeps are going to be unlucky today.
Yeah, they've got everybody covered, haven't they? It's been
they have had since they rolled off the truck.
Car. There is a 52 car that Jim Roller explained. Great to see. Great job by PR1 Matheson Motorsports. They might be an hour behind everybody else, or 30 laps behind, but at least the car's back in the running, so they're going to learn something about a car which is still pretty new to that PR1 Matheson Motorsports team, and give the drivers some good experience to help them learn more about what the car needs to make it really go fast. So that car is running obviously at the back of the pack and will remain there, but it's that track time that's oh so important. The 38 car still leads in PC. James French at the wheel. Nick Boulay from Dallas has taken over the wheel. Number 26 car running second in PC. As we see the GTD battles coming past the pits one more time. Tell you what, this is going to be a tremendous battle all the way to the end. It's a number 28 car. Daniel Morans has taken over, the Canadian from Mathieu Jaminet, the Frenchman. As we see number 33 car, Jerome Bleckermolen, under intense pressure from Jörg Bergmeister, pretty much side by side through turn 1. The Mercedes car number 33 and the Porsche car number 73.
Pit lane caller with Jim Roller.
Ed Brown gets out already of the 22 car. Johannes van Overbeek will get back in. He'll take it to the finish. Fuel and tires.
There's only a 10-minute minimum, of course, for the prototype drivers. So Ed has done that, and we'll go back to Johannes van Overbeek. Change of position. No, not quite at the end of the back straight. Guess what? It's the 5 and 31. This is exactly where they came together the last time we were here, battling side by side through 14 into 15. Dane Cameron and João Barbosa. João holding on to second at the moment. Dave Cameron in the red and white in third position. Mark Goossens is 2 seconds further back, but decent pace from Mark, going through 18, down the hill now. Back across to the right-hand side of the road, turning in.
Yeah.
Such a great corner, that.
Dane Cameron wants past, doesn't he?
He really does.
But Ricky Taylor just had the fastest lap of the race last time around, by the way. He's really piling it on at the front of the field, leaving the other 2 Cadillacs in his wake, but a little battle going on not too behind the 5 and the 31. The number 90 car under pressure from Scott Sharp. Mark Goossens under pressure from Scott Sharp, and Stephen Simpson hanging right there with them as well. Both those latter 2, Scott Sharp and Stephen Simpson, just set their fastest laps of the race so far.
Hello to Emma Crawley, who's listening in via IMSA radio on her smartphone, but the dog is growling all the time. Not sure what the dog's hearing that we aren't. No cats here, of course. The announcement's very particular about that. So, Emma, good to know that you are listening in. Another big dive. Oh, and another big hit. The 15 car going down the inside. Jack Hawksworth. That was a really ambitious move, and he's nailed the back of the 911 Porsche in a very uncompromising way. It is moving again, but Dirk Werner, who was right up at the sharp end of GTLM, will be less than happy with that. He'll be very lucky if he's got away with no damage on the back of that diffuser. Man, is there a problem with the Lexus when you are in traffic? Because Robert Allard and now Jack Hawksworth have seemed to be unable to find the middle pedal when it's required. That's not like Jack. Robert's on a sticky wicket at the moment, on probation.
Yeah, and of course, Robert has very little experience in racing cars. Really, he had a couple of years in the IMSA Prototype Lights Championship. Did very well, considering the fact he did no karting, no open wheel racing before that at all, and now getting this opportunity with 3GT Racing. So perhaps he felt a little bit of pressure. What was interesting was he wasn't really very willing to admit any culpability for that incident at Long Beach, which didn't impress some people. But I think he's now come to terms with the fact a little bit that he did actually make a bit of an error there, taking out half a dozen cars.
A bit, yes, and ruining the race for the GT Le Mans leaders. This is a public service announcement. Millie, sit, Millie. There you go, Emma. Never let it be said that we don't interact with our audience human or otherwise here on IMSA Radio. Live from trackside. That is the I think the furthest distance I've ever given a command to a dog to sit from Texas all the way up there.
Pit lane.
Yeah, Martin Tomczyk, yes.
We weren't expecting that, were we?
Also, the 93 coming in as well. That's Andy Lally. Jim Roller, that looked to be a drive-through for the other BMW.
Actually, he's stopping in the penalty box. It's worse than a drive-through.
Okay.
I need to find out what that's all about.
I wonder if that was that for how they left the pit lane when they were side by side with the Porsche on the speed limit. That is the only thing that I can think of. I haven't seen anything else, certainly out on the circuit. Everybody, it's a bit of an end of term feel for everybody. The GTLM guys, of course, this is their last race before the break. They won't be with us at Detroit. They'll come back at Watkins Glen International as they get ready for Le Mans. Well, at the moment, it's a bit like they're tearing their school uniform up and going on holiday for 6 weeks. Shea Adam has got the details on the penalty of the BMW.
BMW has been joined by the 93 Acura and potentially even another car. I'm hearing it was for running the red light at the pit exit. This has been a problem in the past. We saw a couple of years ago a couple of GTD cars falling afoul of that rule. 911 has now officially been called to the naughty box as well. This is a painful penalty.
So a drive into the pits, stop for 60 seconds. So that was indeed coming out of the, that must be coming out of the pit lane in that with the red light on.
And the light there, it's kind of hidden, I gather. I was in the drivers' meeting yesterday for Conti, and that was talked about then. Don't remember it being talked about this morning in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship drivers' briefing. But it did come up yesterday that it is a little bit partially obscured, so you do have to pay attention to it. I haven't actually been down there to look at it myself, but it's certainly very, very unfortunate.
4 lights it is, Jeremy, at the base of the timing pylon. It's
we've got a pretty good 3-car battle there in GTD, by the way. Now for the lead, as we see the rest of the battle coming around turn 20. But Daniel Moran now has got his mirrors full of Brian Sellers and Jerome Blekemolen. Meanwhile, Johannes van Overbeek, having made that pit stop, is flying. He's just got purple in Sector 2, fastest of all. He's got the benefit of clear track at the moment, as is a race leader, of course. There's no one around him. And Ricky Taylor at the front of the field, just super consistent laps. He set the fastest lap of 57.68 on lap 31. Since then, 57.90, 57.80, 57.92. Fabulous consistency at the front of the field by our race leader.
Well, with an hour and 18 minutes to go, GTLM gets curiouser and curiouser. Bill Oberlin, who's had the drive-through, actually back up into second now as the 911 comes in for its stop and hold. BMW, both barrels in both feet for their car, having looked very strong earlier on. 911 rather hauled out of the race. Oh, dear me, he's more at the end of the turn 11 area as the BMW number 96, the Turner BMW, Jens Klingmann, just barges the Acura out of the way. That's going to be looked at because he didn't lift one scintilla there in his quest to stay on the rear bumper of the 75 Mercedes-Benz ahead of him. Just finish my point on the GTLMs. It's Corvette once again with the 3-car who look like they're going to get the advantage here. Jim Roller.
John, how many times have you and I watched a race with Corvette in it where they've been either down on something or you know, horsepower because of BOP or something like that, and they still win because they don't make any mistakes? And it's unbelievable to me that a team that is as good as BMW had these kind of problems when, I mean, this is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, agreed. And at the moment, it's going the way of Chevy. Dirk Werner's back out of the pits. He was turned around by Jack Hawksworth. Have to wait to see if that's going to draw a penalty. Number 4 Corvette, which is the delayed Corvette, is back in the pit lane. There was a Ford involved in that bumping and barging at turn 11. 3 cars at the apex of turn 11. Not going to work. Yeah. I'm afraid I did not identify the Ford GT that was going through there. Jens Klingmann was helped into the Acura. So Ricky Taylor has once again established a decent cushion. Not the...
It must have been, I think, that was 66 car just came past here, so
right.
By process of elimination, I think it might have been the 67. What do you reckon?
Okay, I'll give you that one. Buy that for $1, as they say. Ricky Taylor once again has established this cushion at the head of the field. It's not the complete three-peat suite and lazy boy recliner set that he had earlier on at 33 seconds. 8.9 seconds, though, is once again the sort of lead that you can easily defend here. Joao Barbosa in second place for Cadillac, and Dane Cameron in third, keeping him honest at just half a second further back. Mark Goosens is the best of the rest in the rebuilt Multimatic Gibson with the Visit Florida colours, the number 90 car, 5 seconds away from the podium spot at the moment, and Scott Sharp refuses to give up the chase. He's just put his best first sector in of the race in the number 2. Now that car was going well earlier on as well, till that had one or two issues. And don't forget, Johannes van Overbeek was bumped out of a decent spot by the 75 Mercedes-Benz. So there is some pace in the other prototype contenders, but nothing at the moment to answer Ricky Taylor in the number 10 Cadillac. GTLM, Antonio Garcia in 9th position overall, is leading. And he's got a prototype challenge car, that of Buddy Rice, between him and the rest of the field, which is now Bill Oberlin in second in the 25 BMW. Martin Tomczyk back up to third, and Dirk Werner down to fourth. He'll be particularly annoyed because, as I say, he was bumped out of a battle for the lead by Jack Hawksworth, who is in the pits at the moment. That, I guess, is the drive-through. Just going to put this out there. So you hammer into the back of somebody else and spin them around out the race, and you get a drive-through. You blow the pit lane exit on red under full course yellow, and you get a stop in 60 seconds. I know it's in the rules, but I'm just thinking about learning lessons for drivers. They're simple creatures, aren't they? In GT Daytona, Daniel Morad leads in the number 28 Porsche. It's been a good run for those guys. Brian Sellers in second for the 48 Lamborghini, Paul Miller Racing, and Jerome Blake-Molen. Here he comes, just 2 tenths away. Top 3 separated by just on a second. 28, 48, and 33. Porsche, Lamborghini, and Mercedes-Benz AMG. Yeah,
and the other guy who's charging is Tristan Vautier in that number 75 car. We talked about that, you might remember, right after that full course caution was on board with Stephen Simpson, who's all over the back end of Scott Sharp. That number 75 car, though, having got the pass round, he's now moved past a whole bunch of cars as we see the number 38 car onto pit lane. That'll probably be a scheduled service for number 38 to hand over to the birthday boy from yesterday, Pato O'Ward. What was I talking about? You don't remember either. Oh, it's 75 car, right.
Yes.
So he's up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place in class now, and charging is Tristan Vautier, the Frenchman.
Jim Roller. Who was that who's just gone by? I missed that. Couldn't see over the top of this easy up in front of us.
It was the 55 car who came down. I thought it was a drive-through, but right at the very last waning moment, he made the left-hand turn and headed back to the garage area. So more issues for those poor lads.
Oh, dear me. We've got, never mind the walking wounded, we've got almost a third of the field who've had something relatively serious happen to them, and half the GTLM field is effectively out of the running now. I suppose one more full course yellow falls right for Ryan Briscoe. For Joey Hand, excuse me, in the 66 Porsche. He might get another lap back.
Number 85 car has managed to find a way past the number 2 car. So Stephen Simpson up into 5th place car is in 5th position now in the number 85 Orica Gibson. That is the Global P2 car, doing a really fine job, as we'd expected. He managed to find a way past Scott Sharp in the ESM Nissan DPI cars. We see Jerome Blekemolen and Brian Sellers going absolutely side by side out of turn 11. This is a drag race down the back straight.
Pretty evenly matched, Jeremy, I tell you.
The Mercedes just fractionally pulling ahead. What will happen in the braking area?
Well, it looks like the Lambo's coming back as they got towards VMAX, but Blekemolen had the better line. Now, can he keep it on the track? Yes, he can. Sellers has to give best and give up second position in the GT Daytona category. And now Jerome Blekemolen has that sort of very Angry Bird style face of the Lamborghini staring at him through his rear view mirror. And raised eyebrows. All sorted out coming into turn number 11. Very fair driving by both, with the cars not touching. Brian Sellers having to take evasive action and possibly getting on the throttle just a tiny bit later. The cars double wide all the way down the back straight into turn 11, and the advantage was with Jerome Blekemolen, who was in the right place to be able to make the pass stick, and immediately pulls out about 10 cars lengths on Brian Sellers in the 48 Lamborghini. Daniel Morad is only half a second or so up the road, so this is not over at all yet. Those top three are being joined by Alessandro Balzan in the 63 Ferrari, who's just put his fastest lap of the race in and took a couple of seconds out of the cars ahead. So Balzan flying. We're going to have 4 cars battling for the lead of GTD very soon, Jeremy.
That's exactly right, John. Well spotted. Yeah, he has made that pass, and on Jörg Bergmeister, and he is setting sail for the front. So this is going to be a great battle. We've got a Porsche, a Mercedes, a Lamborghini, and very shortly a Ferrari. So 4 different manufacturers fighting there amongst the top 4 positions. And then there is Jörg Bergmeister next up, and then the Audi of Lawson Archenbach too, who is going to be pursued by Tristan Vautier. So, yeah. And of course, the race leaders, or the race leader at least, is fighting his way through that GTD traffic to put them all 1 lap down again, or another lap down, excuse me. So Nick Boulet, car number 26 for Bar 1 Motorsports, has taken over the lead in PC as a result of the recent pit stop for car number 38. Number 38 car still will require 1 more pit stop to get to the end of the race, but so will the other cars as well. Nick Boulet was part of the Performance Tech team that won the Rolex 24 at Daytona, so he's got the souvenir from that, which is not a bad one to have. And taking the opportunity to join Bar 1 for this weekend, and driving in that number 26 car alongside Stefan Wilson, the lanky Englishman, 6'5" of him.
When he said to his career's master at school, I'd like to be a racing driver, I would say no.
New leader in GTD, that would be Jerome Blekemolen.
He's dealt with Morad already.
Yeah, right away. It took him in consecutive laps. He's managed to move from 3rd to 1st. No surprise there. Number 2 car on pit lane.
Yeah, from 6th position that, Jeremy. Yep. Good effort by Scott Sharp. He's had a couple of helping hands. Jim Roller is there.
Yeah, Scott's getting out. Ryan Dial will get in. It's a good stint by the veteran, who's really buff now. Unbelievable. He's spending more time in the gym than he is on the racetrack. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, these cars are pretty physical, aren't they, Jim?
Yeah, and, yeah, but he's like, looking like Arnold. I mean, it's just, you know. But, yeah, very physical, and he's in awesome shape. So, I mean, I'm not disrespecting him in any way. I'm just surprised to say. I mean, I remember when he was not as fit as he is now, and he is really taking the bit between his teeth with that. Ryan Dial away, a very routine stop. That car came in out of 6th. Let's see what Ryan can do. He's been very quick all weekend.
Yeah, he will require 1 more pit stop to get to the end from here. but so will everybody else also. Bad news is he's quite a long way behind in terms of track position, of course.
Bleekemolen immediately opens up 2.9 seconds in that 33 car. Justin Bell had that to win in the podium predictor from IHG Rewards Club, www.podiumpredictor.com. 50 in second place. Well, Gunnar Jeanette inside the top 10 and still on the lead lap. GTLM's been blown apart. Justin had 66.3 and 67. Well, the threes there, no sign of the 66 and 67. Both Fords out pretty much at the start of the race.
Yeah, talking of blowouts, Jeroen Bleekemolen disappeared. He took the lead last time around. This lap, 3.5 seconds clear of Daniel Morad and Brian Sellers. Continue to battle over second place with Alessandro Balzan as well as part of that group. Then a little bit of a gap back to Jörg Bergmeister, who's got his mirrors full of Lawson Aschenbach and the other Mercedes, the Sun Energy 1 machine, and Tristan Vautier. So Mercedes once again super strong here. 2 minutes 10.4 last time around for Jeroen Bleekemolen, and that is the I think that is the fastest. No, it's not the fastest lap of the race. Actually, the fastest lap of the race in GTD was set a while ago by Mathieu Jaminet during that first stint at 2:08.8.
I've been impressed by him, Jeremy, this weekend. Mathieu Jaminet.
Oh yeah, and out of the car as well.
Yes. Yeah, he is a proper old-fashioned racing driver. He might not be that in age, but the way he looks at the sport, and he's loving being over here. Interesting, his comments about that. You know, he said he likes some of the more American-style tracks. This one is a bit European for him, and that from a man with his experience might sound a bit odd, but of course he's driven many Formula One tracks, including here before in the Super Cup, the Porsche Super Cup. And what he likes is the more quirky American circuits. Well, he'll get plenty of them for the rest of the season, won't he?
Yeah, not sure what the plan is yet for the Allegra Motorsports team. They haven't, well, they are planning to do more races now, particularly if they can keep in championship contention, which they certainly are doing as a result of this result today, if they can maintain it. But it's certainly also looking good for number 33 car, because Ben Keating and Jeroen Bleekemolen already had a 21-point advantage coming into this weekend. They've finished on the podium in all 3 races, a win, a second and a third. Nobody else has managed to even close to that consistency. They've got a huge lead already, and apparently running away with this one as well. So we see the number 96 car, Jens Klingman, coming onto pit lane. Kind of a, yeah, 96. He was running in the 3, 4, 5, 6, so 8th position in GTD.
73 Park Place Porsche. Jörg Bergmeister running in 6th position at the moment, 3.5 seconds away from Balzan, who is, Alessandro is 7/10 of a second behind Brian Sellers. He's 4/10 of a second behind Daniel Morad in 2nd place, but 3.2 seconds up the road. The 33 has cleared off with Jeroen Bleekemolen behind the wheel. And Daniel Morad doing a pretty decent job. With an hour left, we're getting towards the last pit stops for the GT Daytona cars. There's a very close call at turn 11 for the number 57 of Lawson Aschenbach. Just missed his braking points, nearly ran into the Porsche in front of him. Did a good job of getting around it. Jim Roller, what are you hearing from the GTD teams about their pit stops and strategies?
Well, I know that the 28 car is going to put Mathieu Jaminet back in the car. And so that decision has been made. They make their final pit stop. They're going to get him back in the car, and that's probably going to happen fairly quickly. He's getting suited and booted, and Morad has now lost the lead. They're going to get the hot shoe back in there and see if he can't chase down Bleekemolen.
The Ricky Taylor charge continues. Haven't had Jordan in that car yet. Ryan DL has just put the fastest lap of the race in for the number 2 Nissan for that car. 1:57.8. So the good work done earlier on by Scott Sharp after he's facing the wrong direction in the first lap, just after the first corner, after contact with the number 90, if my memory serves. And now Ryan Dial is a minute and a half away from the lead. In the pit lane at the moment is not 52. Yes, it is Jose Gutierrez. Okay.
Yeah, kudos to that team for fighting back.
Yeah, very good. That is probably the endurance spirit, isn't it?
GTD, by the way, as we see number 54 car, Colin Brown, coming in to make a pit stop. I don't think he can get to the end from here, can he? More likely not. Number 75 car, we talked about him quite a bit lately. He's now up to the 5th position. He's passed Jörg Burgermeister and Lawson Ascherbach and just about everybody else, and he is charging along there. Johan Blekemolen's lead now is 3.9 seconds, but it won't be long, I think, before Tristan Vautier moves up onto the tail of Alessandro Balzani. He's about 4 seconds behind him at the moment. Don't expect it to stay that way for long.
Yeah, Stephen Simpson looking at the back of Mark Goosens for that final podium position. Excuse me, for 4th position. They're 13.5 seconds away from a podium position. And a quick lap coming from Ryan DL, 1:58.1. He's the fastest prototype on the circuit at the moment, Jeremy, in that number 2 Nismo GTR powered Ligier for ESM. I think that's a deal that we've yet to see the best of. 1 or 2 eyebrows raised when Scott Sharp and Ed Brown did that deal to put the Nismo engine in the LMP2 Ligier chassis. Nissan very clear about the fact that there is a customer engine deal and not a manufacturer involvement. Well, their Ligier and ESM have come up with a set of bodywork that satisfies the regulations in IMSA to be into the DPI regs to allow them to change it. Now, pit stops for Brian Sellers and Alessandro Balzan. Can they go to the end from here? In comes the Lamborghini. 2 brand new Continental tyres going to the right side of the car. And Jim Roller is there for us.
Yeah, 2 on the right, going to be 2 on the left as well. Fuel, Brian's going to stay in. He's going to take this thing all the way to the checkered flag. I know he's going to be upset about the Mercedes being able to just drive right by him. He thinks they need to be brought back to the field a little bit. Let's go to Shea.
Scuderia, of course, can go to the end from here, or so they say. They are putting 4 new Continental tires on the Ferrari, the 488. Balzan has stayed behind the wheel, although they gave him a nice frosty-looking drink bottle, and he has been cleared to leave. Came in behind the 48 of Brian Sellers, goes back out behind the 48 of Brian Sellers.
Looked to me as though the 48 was turned around a tiny bit quicker, but we're talking marginally because they came in pretty much nose to tail. There's 2 or 3 cars lengths between them as they come off the pit lane speed limiter and climb the hill towards turn 1, blending into the left-hander's apex there. Now, expect the prototypes to be in the next 5 or 10 minutes, as they are going to be tight, aren't they, for that last splash of fuel. We might have to see a bit of the dreaded fuel saving as Mike Skeen comes out in the Mercedes-Benz number 80 after making what will be his last pit stop. Here's Goosens. Goosens into the pit lane. And Jim Roller has this Continental Tire pit lane report.
So Mark Goosens comes to a stop right on his marks. He's going to give way to Renger van de Zande. So this is the first that we're seeing of the prototypes changing over drivers. Mark very kind of unceremoniously rolls over, and now here we have the 25 car in the pits. So Bill Auberland back in the pits, and he'll change and put Alex Sims back in. So the middle drivers here, because of the heat, in some cases not going all the way to the finish. We're going to keep an eye on that BMW stop, make sure the fuel rig is working okay. It seems to be. Mark Goosens is out of the car. There you hear Renger van de Zande leaving, and this time the 25 leads with no issues. Shay?
Down down here, the GTD leader has come into the pit lane. Jerome Blickmolen is getting 4 new Continental tires. Now, the last time they did their pit stop, the fuel took substantially longer than anyone else, as I see Alexander Sims is now behind the wheel of the 25 BMW. The 50 is also in. Gunnar Jeanette staying behind the wheel of that Mercedes as well. 4 new Continentals for him. Tire change is done. The fuel is still going on for Jerome Blickmolen. He's revving the engine. He's so ready to go, but not yet. They're still holding him. Fuel taking a very long time for the Mercedes. Now he's clear, Jim.
And the 28 car has come in, got the driver change and tires and fuel done, and he's away. So a quicker stop for the 28 car than what we saw for the Mercedes. Mercedes is going to beat him out, but he made up some ground on the pit stop. So good job for the 28 crew. They've put Matthew back in the car, so that's going to be a heck of a battle all the way to the end. Also, the 57 Stevenson Audi has pitted and back out, and Shea's going to get busy again because here comes one of the Corvettes.
That is the number 3. The class leader in GTLM has come onto the pit lane. Antonio Garcia is behind the wheel. I do not see Jan Magnussen up on the pit wall, but this is a fit guy, is Antonio. He runs vast distances. He did 66 kilometers a couple weeks back just for fun. Fueling nozzle goes into the car, and they have new sticker Michelins ready to put on. So it will be Antonio in until the end of the race. They have reached the fuel window. The fueling is going in on the driver's side only. Normally they have a nozzle that comes out on the other side as well, but they don't need that today. A windshield tear-off comes flying off the windshield. Tire change is done. Fueling is done.
And the 85 has come in. Steven Simpson is going to stay in the 85 car. It's monkey see, monkey do time. Everybody's coming to the pits. It's going to be fuel and tires only for the 85. Steven will stay in the car.
Hectic moments down there in the pit lane. The fuel consumption balanced pretty well with the tank sizes, part of the balance of performance in IMSA class racing. And that all seems to work as well. As BMW number 25 back out with Alexander Sims behind the wheel, and he is behind Antonio Garcia, who holds on to the lead as the number 4 Chevy Corvette, the delayed car, which started off badly and it's got worse from there, frankly, is back out from behind the wall. So we'll go to do a bit more testing then. Next race, of course, is at the Le Mans 24 Hours test weekend. The same weekend as Detroit, so it's a Detroit race on Saturday for IMSA, and then Sunday for the Le Mans test. Our colleagues at Radio Le Mans covering that. Mobile One Radio Le Mans on the air at the track on 91.2 FM and around the world, the exclusive commentary, and that will be the Sunday after the Detroit race. 911 in the pit lane.
And the 24 is also in, along with the 911. 24, very good stop. Much better than we saw from the 25 the first time. Similar to what we saw from the 24 the first time. No problems with the red light, though, at the end of the pit lane, as the 911 is also in. 31 is in. Shea.
The Whelen Engineering car has come to a stop. They are not doing a driver change. Dane Cameron into the end, but they are giving him 4 new tires, and they did give him a new drinks bottle as well as a windshield tear-off. These tear-offs are actually quite dirty today. There's a lot of bugs out here in the air in Texas, and the cars are hitting them as the fueling is still going on. It's been let off of its air jacks because the tire change is done, and Dane is clear to go back out on track.
And these cars, Shea, are all going to have to make one more pit stop, I reckon, before the end of this race. So there's a lot more battle still to be done, and make sure there's no errors on pit lane. So it's not all plain sailing. They can't just cruise and relax from here. Here's the number 75 car on pit lane that has taken over the lead in GTD with the other cars making pit stops. So now Tristan Vautier making the pit stop of his own.
Leaders pit stop due
73 car in as well.
Leaders
second place.
Leaders pit. You're right, Jeremy. Leaders pit stop due any time now as well. This lap I'm hearing on the race radio, and Ricky Taylor then will hand over to his brother Jordan just on 52 minutes or thereabouts to go when that car comes in. That's going to be tight.
No, it's not, I don't think.
Do you think they can do 52 minutes?
No.
So it's not tight at all?
I don't think so.
And anybody who stopped before them, there's no chance of the guys getting in before. Well, let's find out. Shea Adam is down by the Cunningham and Alta pit.
Jordan Taylor looking very calm, cool, and collected, ready to get behind the wheel of this number 10. First time for him all day, and this is pretty much the first time that he'll drive less than an hour this season. As Ricky is being hoisted out of the car, he gets a little bit of help from one of the driver aides, and Jordan getting in. The right side Continentals have already been seated on the car as Jordan himself drops into the seats. Bit of drama with the 5 car, Jim.
Yeah, he's coming down the pit lane dead stick, and now a bunch of the wheeling guys have run out to give him a shove so that the 5 car pit crew can in fact give him that's interesting. Jeremy, check the rule book on that one. The guys from the 31 car went ahead and gave him a shove down pit lane as now the 5 crew goes to work, Shea.
Clean stop down here for the 10, fuel and tires, and Jordan Taylor behind the wheel.
That suggests to me that that car was just out of fuel as they just pushed him into his pit stop. I don't suppose there's anything that says who can push the car down the pit lane, as long as somebody does. Shea Adam will get the ruling on that. But they're not looking to do anything else at all, so they must have run that car dry as it came into the pit lane. Now, will it fire? It does, and it pulls out after a full tank of VP Racing fuel and a new set of Continentals, and it's back out onto the track. That was, I mean, really heads-up thinking. The 2 cars in different livery and entered under different team names so that the sponsors get mentioned more often, which is a smart thing to do, but are run by the same team. And sending the other set of pit crew down to push it means that the guys who were there to do the service didn't have to run all the way down pit lane, Shea?
Yep, it is perfectly legal. Any crew guys from any team can push any car if it's in danger of being in that fast lane like it was. So it was in a dangerous position. So that's why outside assistance was allowed.
Yeah, outside assistance is not allowed between cars anymore.
You can't push.
We saw it in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge in several races, particularly last time at Sebring. Actually, one of the cars was pushed across the line by another car, oddly, from a completely different team and manufacturer, but they were close buddies and they had the same personal sponsor. Anyhow, so you're not allowed to do that anymore. But yeah, as far as the pit crews are concerned, no problem.
Hearing that that was a slight lack of go juice. The team talking on the pit lane radio.
That's very costly.
Crew chief putting his hands up there over the radio saying, sorry, my bad, slight miscalculation.
Yeah,
Didn't lose too much time.
That being the case, I don't think they can get to the end.
I'm not sure anybody can get to the end from where they've come in, Jeremy, if I'm honest.
And there's much less of a gap now between Jordan Taylor and Dane Cameron, just 3.8 seconds as they came across the line. That time it was 8.3 on the lap before they came into the pits. And on that lap, Ricky had been held up by some slower traffic. It cost him 4 or 5 seconds, and some more as he came on pit lane as well. So that gap now, as we see the number 31 car of Dane Cameron, last year's champion with Eric Curran, of course, series champion. And as he's coming over that rise on the straight, he will look ahead of him and see Jordan Taylor working his way. Here he is coming into turn 12. The black car working his way through that GT traffic, and Dane Cameron will shortly have to do exactly the same thing.
Jeremy Shaw, I'm John Hindhaugh. Pit lane is Shea Adam and Jim Roller. 47 minutes left to go, and Jordan Taylor, anything the brother can do, he can do just as well. Fastest first sector of the race. He's looking at a 1:57.684 as the best lap of the race so far. That was back on lap 31. We're on lap 49 now. And he's carving his way through traffic in that very, very luxurious looking gloss black Cadillac. The number 10 car running out to the curb at the final corner, which is perfectly legitimate. Here's how it stands then with under 50 minutes to go, but maybe a splash at the head of the field. It's Jordan Taylor by 4.6 seconds. In second place, Dane Cameron. He's got 10.5 seconds on Ryan DL. He's going very nicely, thank you very much, in the number 2 Nissan. And behind Ryan, Renger van der Zande, the number 90 Multimatic. He's got 9.5 seconds. 4.5 seconds, sorry, on Steven Simpson. And 16 seconds further back is the number 5 Cadillac of Joao Barbosa. So that did cost that 5 car a little bit of time. In PC, they're back together again. At 30 seconds between first and third. Nicolas Boulet leads in the 26 from Patricio Ward in the 38 by about 23, 24 seconds. Then another 7 seconds further back, Buddy Rice. So yeah, 30 seconds between the 3 of them in the 20 car. Buddy, of course. GTL Antonio Garcia by 26.5 seconds from the BMW of Alexander Sims in second place, the 25. The team car is 1 minute and 5 further back. And then behind that, Patrick Pilet holds 7 seconds he's got to fight. And Joy Hand now back in the fight, up to 15th, so 5 blue markers on the left-hand side of my timing screen, showing that the GTLM field is back together, or at least what remains of it, although big gaps there. Nicolas Boulet leading PC at the moment, owes us a pit stop. Still hasn't done his second pit stop, whereas the 38 car has. GTD, Jerome Blake-Molen by just 9/10 of a second from the charging Alessandro Bolzan. We've got a real battle there between the 33 Mercedes-Benz and, in fact, Brian Sellers in second place. My apologies, in the 48 Lamborghini, but he has closed back in on Jerome Blake-Molen, and then it's just half a second back to Balzan. So the top 3 are just 1.5 seconds apart.
After that round of pit stops, you're right, that gap was reduced to next to nothing. Those top 3 cars now in GTD running nose to tail. A little bit of a gap back to number 28 car, who on the last lap has found a way past last year's winner here, the Turner Motorsport BMW, Jens Klingman, at the wheel of that car. And he's only about 3 seconds, Jaminet, behind the top 3, so he'll be looking for a game on there. There is the leaders coming to turn 12, 1, 2 and 3. The Mercedes ahead of the Lamborghini and the Ferrari looking to make a move on the right hand and not able to do it, and a short gap back to that white, black and gold Allegra Motorsports Porsche car number 28.
Yeah, it's been a good run.
Yeah, it is excellent.
It was suggested to me by an honourable member of the press here how good those Allegra guys have gone, and wonders about how much state of mind plays into that. There's a team that's running on probably a fraction of the budget that some of the other teams are around them, and therefore they have to drive, Jeremy, in a smart manner. They can't be banging into things because they simply don't have the budget to go replacing large components, and as such they are getting good results by driving smartly. They're still quick, but the adage of discretion being the better part of valor is working for them. Who knew? Not driving into people, actually good for racing. Joao Barbosa looking for a quick lap. Steven Simpson and Renger van der Zande picking up their pace as well. Van der Zande last time around now in 4th position, 1:58.7, fastest prototype on the track. No, Joao Barbosa 58.6. So those 2 guys are pushing along. And Steven Simpson comes into the pit, so he was light there.
No, he'd made a pit stop on lap 46.
Right.
So he would, but he now can get to the end. So he's going to be the first of the leaders to make their final pit stop.
Well,
so good strategy there by the JDC Miller Motorsports team, because if there is a full course caution, everybody else will have to come onto pit lane and he'll cycle through to the front. Whether he can maintain it, of course, is a different matter, but that's not the point.
And that was a very quick pit stop, as Shea Adam has just told me, fuel only on that car. Now that might just set off a chain reaction in what's going on around them. And in fact, Johannes van Overbeek peels off into the pit lane in the 22 car. So 42 minutes to go. They were about 10 minutes shy in terms of how far they could go to the end of the race. The 22 in front of Jim Roller has been a little bit more bumping and barging at turn 11, and it involves Jaminet in the Allegra Motorsports car going very long and trying to get around Jens Klingman, and does it, but went a long way off the track to do it. Now, there were 3 wide going into turn 11, so that might get him away. He's given the pass back, he's given the position back. Race control asked him to give that back, is what I'm hearing. 10 car now saying to Jordan Taylor, watch your fuel numbers. They've gone into fuel save mode at the head of the field. 31 has come into the pit lane. And the 2 in as well. So second and third's come in, and we're hearing on the Pitster car radio that Jordan Taylor's been told to put his slippers on. Let's go down to Shea Adam.
The PC cars at the head of the field have come in, as well as the 26 is getting fuel and tires. 31 is doing a quick examination of the front right and left tires. They're scrubbing off any sort of marbles that are up against the back of the wheel wells, and fueling is now done. Dane Cameron is done, and the 38 beats out the 26 because they did not do a tire change, and the 26 did.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. We've had a sad note from Mazda Motorsports. The 55 electrical problems officially now a retirement from the Advanced Auto Parts Sportscar Showdown. Jordan Taylor now has in 28 second lead on Renger van der Zande. Let's get the update from the 2 and the 22, the 2 ESM Ligier Nissans. Jim Roller has this Continental Tire pit lane update.
Yeah, a little bit different strategy for the 2 and the 22. They took tires as well. No driver change, fuel enough to get to the end of the race, but also fresh set of Continental.
Yeah, and again, classify that under nothing ventured, nothing gained. They weren't going to win the race otherwise. If there is a full course caution, I'll get it back in tension, and I'll have a fresh set of Continental boots. So a great call there by the ESM team.
They weren't exactly slow coaches on the old tyres, so I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, that car, I think it's at the second fastest lap of the race in Randy L's hands. So it is a quick car.
And Johannes van Overbeek was quick early on as well, before he had that coming together with the 75 AMG, which brought him into the pits for a new nose cone on that car. So almost 30 seconds between first and second. Joao Barbosa another 14 seconds back in third position, but I presume they're going to come for a splash as well, Shea Adam.
They are, and they've been practicing how they are going to alert the fueler as to when to pull the nozzle out. They have a broomstick handle, and they were just practicing hitting him on the helmet with it to get him used to the sensation. I kid you not.
I love it. In the days of technology, there's still a piece of broom handle being used to do the time pit stop. Jim Roller.
The 90 car is kind of doing the same thing. Here comes the 5 car again. He'll be coming to the attention of Shea Adam. The 90 is fuel only, and they took about 10 seconds, and he's back underway. Shea?
Barbosa is still on the pit lane speed limiter now. He pulls into his pit box, hits the pit board, fueling nozzle is in. Man with the broomstick is ready to go. He's holding it out over the man's head. He hits him on the back. That worked really well. Much better than hitting him on the helmet. Was just hitting him right on the back.
That was version 2.0 of the software update. Don't hit him on the head. Hit him on the shoulder. Brilliant stuff.
He won't feel if you hit him on the head with the helmet on, so on the back he'll definitely feel that.
Agreed. Now, Jordan Taylor's been told to save a bit of fuel, but he can't go all the way to the end. So just stretching that window to see what everyone else did. It's a smart move from the guys.
Yeah, yes and no, because if there is a full course caution, these other guys that have made their pit stops are going to go past him. Having said that, of course, if there is a full course caution, then perhaps he could get to the end without making another pit stop. So you know, this is great stuff. This is what endurance racing is all about. Kind of fun watching these strategies.
Cole's just gone out to Jordan Taylor. He will be coming in for a splash.
Yeah.
2 and 85 side by side for position. This is for third position, and Ryan DL goes up the inside. It's Nissan versus Gibson Motor. The bright green and the bright yellow, almost a touch in the braking area, and the Gibson has the advantage there in a straight fight. And Ryan DL tried the old over and under, but couldn't get that one done. Now he'll go to the outside at turn 14, cutting back onto the curb into 15 now. Great stuff, Stephen Simpson and Ryan DL for third position, with Renger van der Zande and Joao Barbosa only seconds behind them. These two are putting on a great show at the moment, and this is for third spot on the podium. Down to turn 19, left-hander, exit, dropping away, keep the car on the red and white curves. DL looks to the inside, can't do it. Through 20, traffic in the way, and that means that Stephen Simpson had to lift off and pinch his exit line, and that gives DL a chance from driver's left, across the start-finish line. The Gibson on the Multimatic, well, that Multimatic might be a bit draggy, but it's quick in a front, in a straight line. Too wide through turn 1. Very fair driving by these two GTLM drivers. Please take note. Now in behind the Lexus, and through, it'll be full of my leader through here, I would have thought. Great stuff for third position overall.
Yeah, indeed, and he wasn't able to make the move. It looked like coming out of turn 20 that Ryan DL had to jump on Stephen Simpson and the power to pull alongside him, but indeed the Orica, it's a pretty slippery chassis. He was able to maintain that advantage as they headed up the hill to turn 2, so it's still Stephen Simpson in third place.
Oh, spin for Gutierrez.
Ricky Taylor stays out.
Yeah.
Jordan Taylor stays out, should it?
Spin for Gutierrez, the 52 car, pointing in the wrong direction. It's not been their afternoon, has it? Meantime, the battle for third position is back on the back straight. And again, now this time, Ryan DL stays in the slipstream longer. He went side by side right at the start of the back straight. Now he has a look outside, but he's not there.
No.
Well, that's a decent donkey in the back of the number 85 car, the Orica. Has got a slick profile. Maybe just doing a little bit better job on the aero than the bespoke panels on the Ligier sitting behind it.
Change of position, by the way, for second position in GTD. The Ferrari of Alessandro Balzan has slipped past Brian Sellers.
Yeah, I gave him that ages ago. He's taken too long to catch up to what I said. Yeah, he has, and he's pulled out 7/10, but Jerome Blakemolen now 2.8 seconds ahead, as the battle for third position overall now has the number 3 Chevy Corvette between them. That's the GTLM leader, Antonio Garcia, going, where's the competition?
Yeah.
Answer, 20. Yeah, exactly. 20 seconds behind you, mate. And Gutierrez was diving down the inside at turn 11 of... right. So the change in second place in GTD was precipitated by Gutierrez going down the inside of Brian Sellers and forcing him a little bit wide at turn 11. Great heads-up driving, however, by Balzan. Alessandro went down the inside and made the pass look very easy indeed. Thank you for the kind words to Glenn Allett, who has tweeted at IMSA Radio. Don't forget, get your questions, points arising, observations, rants, whatever. Tweet to at IMSA Radio and use the hashtag Michelin PRT, please. Another retirement, I think, Shea Adam.
The 20, the Bar 1 prototype car, has been pushed behind the wall. That means there are 2 of them left out on track. The 26, which did a drive-through penalty a couple of laps ago, and the mighty 38.
Yeah, well, the mighty 38 banner has been passed this weekend at Spa from the guys to the new Jackie Chan DC racing car, JC DC car. Brand new fastest lap of the race, and the sibling rivalry continues. A 1:57.198 on 57th lap for Jordan Taylor. proves there's plenty of speed in that Cadillac. That suggests to me that he'll be coming in shortly, and he's been told to get a wiggle on and get the biggest gap he can. It's now a minute, 57 seconds to be pedantic. He can almost get in and out without, in fact he will, he'll get in and out without losing the lead if he just needs a splash.
Oh yeah.
Quite easily. And that's what he's doing, pressing home the advantage. Fastest lap of the race for the number 10 car, not just his, but overall 1:57.198 then has stretched that lead to 57.2 seconds. There's still half an hour racing here.
Yeah, he already had it, but he's reset it.
Yeah. Well, his brother had it actually,
True.
didn't he? Yeah, so it's gone from R. Taylor to J. Taylor.
And that this year, by the way, is worth a championship point.
Right.
Fastest lap in each of the classes.
Okay. GTLM, Antonio Garcia, losing a bit of time in traffic, lost 2 seconds over the last couple of laps. Alexander Sims is lapping quicker, so that's not over at all. Garcia just taking things sensibly. He's up behind the 86 of Jeff Siegel, the Acura. All right, just heard the call. Taylor will be in at the end of this lap. No broomstick required, says Shea Adam. They're all off playing Quidditch, aren't they? So if they're not using the broomstick, are we getting actual radio transmissions to the guy with the fuel hose?
No. I think if you were to go to Jordan's home in Central Florida and look for Fonzie, he would be missing his leash because it is attached to the fuel man, and they have an engineer holding the other end of it. They're going to yank on that when the fueling numbers match up.
Love it. Sort of like a toddler round on at the mall, keep him on a short leash. Very good. Put him on a leash. 7 seconds is the gap between Joao Barbosa and Ryan DL for a Cadillac 1-2-3. And DL's not hanging about, 59.4, but a 59.3 for Barbosa. The Cadillacs still seem to have the advantage here. Far better developed and more thoroughly developed car. Project that was started a long time before as well, as the 10 comes into pit lane. This is our leader of the race, the number 10 Cunningham Minolta Cadillac. Jordan Taylor will stay behind the wheel. Shea Adam says fuel only, half an hour to go, 30 minutes. And Shea will watch the leader come in first place, and presumably, if all goes well, go out in first place, Shea.
That's what the plan is, as he is coming down on this pit lane speed limiter. Completely empty pit lane, except for Jordan Taylor in that number 10, perfectly on his marks. The leash is tight against the fuel man, as it has little orange stripes on it, so it actually matches both Ricky and Jordan's helmet. Now, pulled back as if he was told, no, don't eat that cookie, and Jordan goes back out on track.
You had an interesting childhood, Shea Adam. That was 8 seconds of fuel that went in there. Shea Adam, our Continental Tire Cookie Monster, pit lane reporter, sorry. And the gap was 1 minute and 1 when he crossed the line. And Dane Cameron has yet to appear through the final corner.
There he goes now. So 59 laps completed by the race leaders.
Question from Amy to @IMSA Radio. Do the teams use spotters at the Circuit of the Americas?
Yes.
They're up on the tower, aren't they?
Yes.
It's a good question, Amy. It's not the traditional type of circuit where you would use spotters, as the 70 Mazda is back in the pit lane. This is not a standard stop. There's a problem with the car.
Number 5 car, by the way, in the 5th position, is closing up pretty quickly on Stephen Simpson in the car number 85. So that'll be a battle, well, a brief battle, I think, because the Cadillac is significantly faster. But it's been a good run once again by JDC Miller Motorsports.
Yeah, it's good back to that question about spotters. It's a fair one, Amy.
It is.
Not many tracks have the big tower The tower's got a see-through floor, so you wouldn't get me up there for love nor money. But the guys stand up there with their headsets on and work with the teams and the drivers. It's good to be able to see what's coming up behind you, what you're going to come up on, whether there's a gaggle of cars that are battling for position. And also, it will give you the opportunity to help plan with the team about where the cars are going to come back after the pit stop. Final pit stop for the 66 Ford. This could be one of the great fight backs for Ford Chip Ganassi Racing. And turned around and seemingly out of it at the start of the race. The 67 car is still running. Yeah, it is. Richard Westbrook's behind the wheel there, but well down, almost 10 laps down on the rest of the field, so there will be points for that car. I'm told by Marshall Pruitt that every spotter has to walk up 8,903,945 steps for each session. Barry Waddell, who's the Michael Shank Racing spotter, was telling the press his calves nearly exploded going up to the top of there. And I do hear that part of our wonderful catering team here from Marian's and Sandra's, Jeannie Rosler, ran up there the other day. That's
she had to be carried down, I would imagine. But
yeah, abseiled down, threw off the top in a squirrel suit. I don't know, but goodness me.
Jeanette there,
yeah, well, Gunham probably would have base jumped off the top of there if he could. 66 is back out with Joey Hand, so that's the final stop for that 66 car. What an odd race it's been for the GTLM categories. Tonio Garcia is being closed down on ever so slightly. Was over 20 seconds not so long ago. Now, all right, still 16 and a half, but it's coming down. That's the right way as far as Alexander Sims and BMW is concerned. It looked like it was their race early on when the rest of the field disintegrated. Jordan Taylor's lead, by the way, after the final pit stop, a mere 28.6 seconds. So 8 seconds of fuel was enough.
Number 90 car on
in the pit lane.
That's
yes,
not scheduled.
That car
didn't need another pit. Shouldn't have needed another pit stop.
I think that car has no engine, and there's absolutely no urgency to that car at the moment. And this could be another heartbreak for the Visit Florida team. Doors open, mechanics in talking to the driver, which is Renger van der Zande. But that's all three Riley Multimatic chassis have had problems here. The two Mazdas and the Global car. Dear, they're still looking for some reliability on those cars, aren't they? Silverstone WEC and ELMS round a couple of weeks ago, more than the odd bit of consternation from the European teams running the Global cars about the lack of reliability, and on a formula that's been in the offing for over 2 years, one or two of the teams very vocal about the lack of support from some of the suppliers. It's a spec class, that, so you don't have a choice about changing gearbox, brakes, other components. They were tendered for, and it's a monopoly marketplace. And Elton Julian, very sensibly but clearly frustrated in talking to one of our pit lane reporters, Joe Bradley, there, setting out a tale of woe, I'm afraid, that's been repeated up and down the pit lane. And it's just been brought in. The cars aren't ready. The cars aren't ready, and given that they're not cheap, it's not acceptable.
No.
It was forced on the rest of the world by the FIA and the ACO. They decided that the older LMP2 cars needed replacing. That was a questionable decision in my mind anyway, and they've replaced it with something that is nowhere near as good.
It might be faster, but the
Fast
answer
is
is
not
reliable. No.
Fast is not necessarily better.
Exactly. Yeah, what are your priorities?
Yeah.
Reliability.
the other thing is, for a cost-capped formula, it was meant to cut costs, and it hasn't. They're more expensive to buy and to run than the old cars. What was it on the 90 then, Jim Roller?
Sorry for the delay on the answer, John. I was caught making a pit stop on my own, but
TMI.
Fox reporter Jamie Howe, right on the spot, gave me the heads up that it's power steering issues. They fiddled with it. They've sent him back out to check it. He's coming back in. Okay, not the first time we've heard that as well, and that goes exactly to the point that we were making there. That shouldn't really be happening. The second Mazda now, the 70 car behind the wall as well. And this is just disastrous for these teams who've thrown their lot in with this new formula. It has to be said that the IMSA DPIs, particularly the Cadillacs, and this is what I keep coming back to, and people talk about balance of performance. Balance of performance cars, as much as you like, uphill and downhill, but reliability and the teams that are running the cars and the nut behind the wheel as well, of course, the driver, is something that you can't allow for, and you shouldn't try to allow for, in balance of performance. And the Cadillac has simply done a better job. Now, you can talk about them being allowed to use the honking great 6.2 engine, but ultimately, look at the performances of the other cars. They've been quick, but they haven't got to the end of the races. Battle for 4th overall, Joao Barbosa. If he wants to make the Cadillac 1, 2, 3, needs to get by Steven Simpson, who's checking left, checking right, as they go down towards the braking area at the end of the back straight.
Yeah, good point that, John, because I thought that was going to be a good bit easier for Joao Barbosa, and it certainly isn't. See number 90 car on pit lane one more time.
Yeah, that's that clearly, that power steering still.
Yeah, we talked a while ago. I mean, Joao Barbosa had turned some very, very quick laps, and he kind of caught up to Steven Simpson, but hasn't really got, well, up until now, hadn't got that close. But now he is pretty much tucked under the rear wing, so we'll see what happens.
Very good. Yeah, that 85. Gibson Orica, no slouch in a straight line. Saw that earlier on, didn't we? With Ryan DL trying to get past that car. That was very interesting. I'm surprised there hasn't been a bigger queue of people standing outside Orica for those cars. There's been a reasonable sized one, in fairness. Let's go back down to Jim Roller. And we'll tidy up the story on the number 90.
It's gone from bad to worse. Lost all electricals now, so I think this one needs to be looked at very carefully before they send him back out.
Yeah, he had the Mazdas, which used the same chassis, of course, with electrical issues earlier on. Now the Mazdas, of course, use a different engine and different bodywork. This is not a super hot day, but it is the hottest we've run in all year, and I wonder if that's playing a part here. Mind you, they'll have to be better than this when they go to Bahrain in the WEC. So I'll be slightly worried about that. And Mexico City at altitude as well. That can get pretty hot. And of course they're here in September, in the heat of late summer, early autumn.
Yeah,
last man standing might win the LMP2 class. Jordan Taylor, 31 seconds. He's pulling away from the field. Joey Hand getting a wiggle on now as well in the Ford, trying to close the gap on the GTLM field ahead of him. It's still Antonio Garcia holding on. He's controlling this, I reckon. 15.2 seconds the gap back to the 25 BMW. So yellow Corvette, 22 BMW in second place. Then the 25 BMW in second place. Then the 24 of John Edwards in third, but he's well over a minute further back. And Patrick Pilet is 8 seconds away from a podium position in number 911 Porsche, the remaining Porsche in contention. 9112 parked in the pits a very long time ago. 62 Risi Ferrari out. We have the 18 Lamborghini out. 55 Mazda, 70 Mazda behind the wall. 20 PC car behind the wall. And now the 90 car adds to the rule of the wounded.
And the number 75 car has just moved up to 4th place in GTD, having got past the number 96, driven by Jens Klingmann. So Tristan Vautier now up into 4th place. Johan Bleekemolen leads the GTD class by about 4 seconds over Alessandro Balzan. He's just measuring that. Another 3 seconds back to Brian Sellers, and then just a couple and a half seconds back to Tristan Vautier. So we'll see now whether Vautier will be able to catch Brian Sellers. So it's Mercedes, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes, then BMW, and the best of the Porsches. Mathieu Jaminet has faded a little bit to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th position, and then yet another Mercedes, Gunnar Jeanette, who is closing in on him actually. So 16 minutes remaining in the race. And a comfortable half-minute lead for Jordan Taylor, just lapping consistently now as he works his way past slower traffic. Lapping around about the 2-minute range. The fastest lap was a 1 minute 57.1. And that compares to the lap record here, which was a 158.6, so a second and a half quicker in the race configuration. But then again, I don't think Ricky's been pushed as hard as he might have been actually. In the PC class, the fastest lap has been set by Patricio Award at a 2:02.5, and that's about a second away from Rango van der Zender's lap record in the PC cars. But again, he hasn't been pushed either this afternoon. That number 38 car, Performance Tech Motorsports, trying to maintain their sweep, having won at Daytona and Sebring. PC didn't go to Long Beach, so it's been 2 out of 2 so far.
Balzan's charge back to the leader, Jerome. Oh, big puff of smoke there from the back of the number 2. This is 3rd place Ryan DL. Now, was that just a little bit of a lockup and the tyre smoke coming through the back? No, it wasn't. It was from the engine coming out on the back straight and then later in the lap. And there's fire. There's fire under the right rear of the bodywork. Great pickup by the our TV colleagues and the guys in tape. Well done, the tape apes. I know it's not tape anymore, but I can't not tell you that. And the 2 is going to get the mechanical black and orange, the meatball flag, with flames licking around the underside. Now, it might just be a bit of rubber under there that's burning. And Shea Adam in the pit lane, it's just gone past you.
I'm out here on the pit wall by the flagger stand, and as it came back, there was an overwhelming smell of fire. It's not just something little burning. That car smells really bad.
Yeah, it's definitely burning. Carbon fiber, when it burns, is very horrible. And the issue there is, will he be able to get back round? So they'll be talking to him on the radio, of course. Ryan DL, what a shame that car's in 3rd position. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3 for Cadillac, because Joao Barbosa has dispatched Steven Simpson and pulled out 4.5 seconds. As the leader goes, oh dear me, leader trying to get up the inside of the BMW of Jens Klingmann. That's always a dangerous thing to do. Through 19, which I'm not sure 19 is a passing place, if I'm honest, not even for a prototype on a GTD car. So Jordan's still pushing along. That Cadillac is supreme, isn't it? Got to credit the partnership between Cadillac and Dallara. Now telling Ryan DL, by the way, to start short shifting. That means don't rev the engine as fast as high as it can do. Make the gear changes earlier, so that's an engine issue. That Nismo twin turbocharged V6 lifted out of the GT3 GTR onto the back straight with the leader. Down through the gearbox, turning into the left-hander. Sun not going to be far enough down to bother the view too much. Would have loved to have seen these cars run into the gloaming. Not able to do that here this year because of the scheduling of another event this evening at the track. Music event. Maybe see that in years to come here, running into the evening hours. Always very spectacular. Just going back to the Cadillac, Jeremy. I mean, they committed early to this new DPI formula for IMSA. They threw their hat in with Dallara, who have a great reputation for building chassis. Built the Audi LMP chassis for quite a long while. Also, I think, did one of the versions of the DP chassis, didn't they? And once the decision to put the big engine in it was made, basically went about refining every single part of the car and then testing it to within an inch of its life.
Yeah.
No real surprise to me that it's been as dominant as it has been, to be honest.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, a massive amount of experience at all levels in that team, in the manufacturers that are involved in it, and short answer is they've done a fantastic job. They've done exactly what they wanted to do. They've got a package that works. It's reliable. I mean, most of the components there are pretty well tested.
Correct.
That 6.2-litre V8 engine, that's been around since the Arc almost. It seems like.
In fact, it powered the Arc.
Configurations probably did. And it's a fabulous package. They've taken full advantage of it. Hats off to everybody involved in that whole organisation.
Of course, they would have had two of those 6.2 V8 engines in the Arc that have been side by side. That was Jim Roller's, not mine. The number 2 car still smoking as it goes by, and Joao Barbosa's closing in anyway. Ryan DL has eased his pace by a couple of seconds now, and within a couple of laps he's going to lose third place anyway. He's just stroking this home now, isn't he? And in fact, the engine's gone. Oh, and the engine's gone in the biggest possible way. There's flame now licking from the back of Ryan DL's car. Just had the radio. Oh, it's well alight at the back, and Ryan DL is off the circuit. The back is in flames. Well, maybe that car should have been called into the pits. It's now going to cause a full course yellow. Oh dear, oh dear. You can see there's a certain inevitability about that. You've got to applaud the guys for trying to leave him out there. But when the team were talking about it being engine related, surely that car should have been in the pit lane. That's it. The race is over. 9 minutes to go, and I doubt we'll get this restarted. It's going to need to be A, put out, and then B, trailered away. Yeah, but that was a big fire there. That gave way in the biggest possible way.
He hasn't at least pulled it off into a...
No, he did a great job. Ryan did a great job. DL, fantastic. Called in on the pits and said, that's it, the engine's gone. And then clearly saw the flames. I mean, the flames were licking around the back of the cockpit area, so he would have seen them. DL fine, out. Worst thing you can possibly see in a racing car. Fire behind you, well, fire in front of you, or fire behind you, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, fire in front is definitely worse.
Only happened to me once. Caught my attention very quickly.
But it did.
Coming through the S's, the engine just gives out, and I think that's an engine failure, Jeremy, and then there's good old-fashioned oil smoke and flames coming from that. The worry is that it was already smoking and flaming a little bit, and fair play to the safety crew who were there before, pretty much before Ryan DL got out of the car. But the whole of the back of the bodywork was well lit. Well done, the guys in the Toyota Tundra, for getting there so quickly. the irony of Toyota being there to put out the Nissan Fire, not lost, I think, on anybody. But they were there very quickly, and they've probably saved that car. Well done to them. So now it's a question of how quickly that car can be towed away. Can it be towed away? And can it be towed away behind the wall? We might get 5 minutes yet, you know. We might get a dash for cash. This will close up the field.
Yeah, there'll be a fair bit of traffic, I think, between Jordan Taylor. So I don't think he's going to come under pressure from Dane Cameron. But if we are going to be able to get back to green, what is going to be interesting is the battle in GTD, because that is going to be a dogfight. In GTLM, well, in PC, first of all, number 38 car has pretty much a lap lead ahead of everybody else. What a great job they're doing down there to push that car out of the way.
Decided straight away to push it behind the wall. It doesn't need to go any further.
Yep.
And just 2 or 3 guys pushing it immediately out of harm's way. They'll clear the emergency vehicles. It's still, well, there's still a bit of flame there, actually. That's going to need another dousing, but it's now off the racing circuit. Brilliant job by the recovery and marshals all weekend here whilst we've got a moment, and I know we are on the PA. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving up your time so that we can enjoy our favourite sport. We salute you as always. So this could be within 15 minutes to the end of the race, so you're allowed to have the quicker yellow. You can't just go back to green, Jeremy.
Yep. Yeah, well, yes, there will be the pits won't be open, there won't be any pass arounds.
Going green this time,
yeah,
we're hearing.
There you go, we're a fantastic job. So the GTD leader is well, direct behind the overall leader, isn't he? And then there's a Corvette, which should be able to get past the Mercedes that leads that class. And then right behind the Corvette, which is in GTLM, I'm not sure which one it is actually. It's number 3 car. Okay, fine. So that's the car that leads the class. And then there's a string of GTD cars: the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, the Mercedes, and number 75. Watch out for that one. And Jens Klingman in the BMW too. So we can see they're already picking up the pace. And Alexander Sims, who's in 2nd place in GTLM, I don't think he's going to have an opportunity to get on to terms with the Corvette.
Well, good news for Jerome Blankenmore, and he's got that Corvette behind him. And that's keeping Alessandro Balzan back as we go back to green. There was no wave by, so there's cars in between the leaders. All down the inside, here comes the 75 of Tristan Fortier. He's gone through. That was a very, very late dive, and Brian Sellers had to give way there. Smart driving from both, and that's a change of 4th position. Third position. Yes. 3rd position, Brian Sellers in 16th overall. He's still got the number 3 on the side, but now he's got Jens Klingman, and that's never a comfortable place to be. The 9-0 is a retirement. It's gone behind the wall. My goodness, we're going to be left with only 5 prototypes running at the end of this race, possibly 6. The 52, no, the 52 car hasn't run again.
The 70 car might, is the 52 car not out there? I think it might be, and the 70 car might be out there as well. I've noticed lately. I think it is actually.
Just 1 or 2 people tweeting about why we didn't get a black flag for the 22 car, or the 2 car. I'm not sure we didn't actually, because on the radio I did hear that being discussed. Shay, Adam, you would have seen the flag stand. Did the black flag go out for the 2?
Yes, it did.
Right, black and orange, presumably the meatball flag, yeah?
And with the number, the car number underneath it as well.
Yeah, okay. So he would have had to come in within a couple of laps. Can't blame the officials for that one, and in fairness, it was cleaned up very, very quickly indeed. So Jordan Taylor with 12 seconds now, last 3 minutes.
Yep.
So
we won't
be 1 more lap after this one.
Correct.
We should see the white flag. What I'm saying is white flag, not this time.
Not this time, yeah.
But in 3.4 miles from now, as Jordan Taylor goes through. So there is 6.8 miles to go for Jordan Taylor. Heck of a scrap going on further back down the field in the GT Daytonas. And Alessandro Balzan must be cursing his luck because he can't get a clear run at the back of Jerome Blakemolen in the 33. Well, Justin Bell is going to get that one right. 33 to win in GT Daytona on the IHG Podium Predictor. Hope you got yours in on podiumpredictor.com before qualifying came underway. We'll be opening up the predictions for Detroit in the next few days. And remember, you can become a points millionaire with IHG Rewards Club and podiumpredictor.com. I think a lot of people will be putting 10 at the very top of their list for the Detroit sports car race. They've run there the last 3 years and they don't look like giving up that run anytime soon. With a minute and 40 seconds on the clock, the white flag is in hand on the starter stand. IMSA Radio live from trackside, and with IMSA TV in sound and vision for the international audience. And don't forget the full race replays on the IMSA YouTube channel with our commentary, and those are available to everyone. They'll be up the next couple of days. Corvette number 3, just 5.4 seconds the win, but a win's a win. Didn't think it was going to be their day. I bet today BMW looked like they had it all in hand, and they have rather shot themselves in their feet. White flag then for the number 10 car. On to the start-finish straight for the penultimate time. And we have about 2 minutes of racing left. Dennis Paul with the white flag there. So if the BMWs hold their position and come through on the podium, then every GT Le Mans car will have been in a podium position this year in the first 4 races. And don't forget, the Corvette has come back from a fire and has risen like a phoenix from the flames of that practice conflagration to take top spot in GTLM. 31 and 5 aren't over either, because Dane Cameron's been caught by Joao Barbosa. 7/10 of a second at the line, and Barbosa has got a great looking car underneath him. Now these two cars have come together in the past, nominally teammates, dealt with his teammates as far as their pit box and allocation are concerned, but they run different liveries, different sponsors, and now have different team names as well. 31 and 5, second and third overall. Oh, the Mazda 70's back out.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
9th. No, that must be 6th in class, is it? No, it's not actually. It hasn't overhauled the 90 yet. So,
yeah, it won't do.
No, correct. So what a run for the Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI VR team. To give them their full moniker. Jordan will bring it home. Ricky took it out. Jordan with the fastest lap of the race. But this is as close to domination as you could see. Out-qualified the field by 1.5 seconds, and have run 1.5 seconds and more quicker throughout the 2 hours and 40 minutes. And at the end of 73 laps, the gap's going to be somewhere near 20 seconds, despite the intervention of the safety car 3 times. And round 4 of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship goes to the number 10. We'll wait for the number 3 Cadillac, number 3 Corvette, excuse me. So 2 GM victories as the Antonio Garcia car comes round, the car that he shares with Jan Magnussen. He comes to the line now. There's the noise of the car going across the line, and Jim Rollers with the victorious GTLM team.
Yeah, like you said, John, like the Phoenix, the 3-car rises and claims the victory. Big smiles down here. You can hear the applause. Let's get a quick word with Jan Magnussen, who's hugging the crew guys as you do. Big family atmosphere down here. Jan, congratulations from.
Well, just lost Jim from
fire to
oh, he's back.
yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
You're there.
Fantastic result, really. Staying out of trouble, just doing our job, doing the thing. Really.
Ricky Taylor, another win. last time you guys were not on the podium was Watkins Glen last year. How is this streak possible?
Wow, I mean, it's these guys, all these Conor Minolta guys. The Cadillac did a beautiful job designing this race car, and that was the best car I've ever had, and the guys just do such a fantastic job, and to be able to control the race like that from the front was an amazing feeling, and I'm just enjoying this while it lasts, because you don't come across this kind of a run in your life, so I'm really enjoying it.
Congrats to the whole family.
Jim Roller is with our winner in GT Daytona, and it's the local team, the 33 Mercedes-Benz AMG.
Ben Keating, the winningest man at COTA. Congratulations, that's 4 for you.
It is. It's kind of hard to believe. I love this place.
Now, it was kind of touch and go throughout the weekend. Sometimes you were quick, sometimes you weren't. How'd you guys put it all together during the race?
Just we're trying to work on getting a car that was consistent. You know, we didn't have the fastest car out there today, but we wanted to have a car that held those Continental tires under it very well for the full hour of a stint. So it was really about consistent lap times, being able to put a full fuel stint together, and the incredible pit work by the Riley team. I can't say enough about those guys.
All right, congratulations.
Down here with our PC winners, no change in the prototype winner, no change in PC either. James French, 3 for 3, leading the championship. This has to feel pretty darn good.
Yeah, it feels great. We were able to just keep our nose clean the whole time. Had a pretty eventful start. Almost got caught up in a little issue there, but managed to get through, and yeah, we're able to keep it clean and bring home the win.
Bring on Detroit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully keep the streak going. Yeah, I mean, Pato put in a great stint. He was able to hang in there till the end, and shout out to him. Happy birthday. It's probably a nice present for him. So yeah, awesome job by everybody on the team, and it was great.
Big party tonight for Performance Tech. Congrats, James.
Right, thank you so much.
So here is how they're finishing. GT Daytona, Jerome Blakemore and anchored Ben Keating's work earlier on in the 33 Mercedes-Benz. 2 seconds, the margin of victory from last year's champion Ferrari, the 63 Scuderia Corsa. Alessandro Balzan taking over where Christina Nielsen had started. Tristan Vautier in the 75 Mercedes-Benz. After getting involved in a couple of scuffles earlier on, made the podium in third position, getting that position late on with a big dive down the inside of Brian Sellers' Lamborghini. The 48 car on the restart in GT LM. A win for Antonio Garcia and Jan Magnussen ahead of the 25 and 26 BMWs, both on the podium, which means all of the cars, not just all the manufacturers, all of the cars in GTLM now have been on the podium within the first 4 races of the year. PC got a little bit split up. Third, the 20 car went out early, Buddy Rice at the wheel. 26, Nicholas Bully brought that car home in 9th overall. Patricio Ward, as you heard there, bringing home the 38. At the top of the field, third position for Cadillac number 5, second for their team car, the 31, and Jordan and Ricky Taylor bring home the full points with fastest lap as well for Jordan. And it's a real Taylor family day out. Another full complement of points. Pole, fastest lap, and the win for the 10 car. Not a bad outing to Texas for those guys, Jeremy.
Yeah, how do you spell dominance again?
Yeah, that would be WTR. That's how you spell it as far as that's concerned.
Magnificent effort.
Yeah, they did. You know, Jeremy, I have no doubt that they've got the best car out there. You don't get the best car by accident. You have to work and get it. But they did not put a wheel wrong all weekend. Their pit stops were perfect. Their strategy in qualifying was perfect. The guys drove the wheel on. You know, there's 2 other Cadillacs there, and they were taking time out of those guys at exactly the same amount as they were taking times out of the global cars.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, the rest of the field was pretty much closely matched. You look at all the fastest laps of the other cars. There was a 57, I think, for the number 2 car, which of course expired shortly before the finish. Ryan Rialto, the 57.8, as indeed did Steven Simpson in the number 85 Oregon Gibson. A great result again for that team. 58.0 was the fastest lap for Joao Barbosa in car number 5. 58.5 for Dane Cameron. So you've got to say it's pretty close amongst the rest of the field. It's just that the Taylor brothers and Dad and everybody else at Konica Minolta Racing has just done the perfect job this weekend. And we talked about EA this series. You have to do the perfect job to win. That's what they did.
No, it's tight competition. We seldom see that kind of difference. And 3 cars, 3 Cadillacs, but still the Taylors were quickest of all. Detroit next for some of the IMSA competitors. The rest will be in the test mode for Le Mans on the same weekend. We'll be covering both of it with IMSA Radio and Radio Le Mans, of course. It's not the same day. Stay tuned on IMSA Radio because the checkered flag has ended, but now we start the conversation. It's Michelin post-race tech coming up. We'll hand over the PA to our colleagues here at the Circuit of the Americas in just a moment's time. # Michelin PRT.